Plus 2 is proud to bring you the 2+2 Pokercast, presented by the Pokerstars VIP Club.
This week on the Pokercast, it's the first week of the World Series, and we've got Andrew LuckyChewy Lichtenberger and Matt Savage. Now, here they are, two of the only people on the planet not to play Colossus, Mike and Adam!
Welcome, everybody, to the 2+2 Pokercast, presented by the Pokerstars VIP Club. I am your host, Dave Schwartz. Alongside of me is my old running partner, my man. It's been a while. It is MJ, Michael Johnson. Welcome back to the show, sir.
I'm in Terrence Chan's seat right
now.
You are.
You got the T. Chan seat.
This is exciting. Ugh. Yes. So on the intro, you mentioned something about like LuckyChewy and all that. Well, I get a text from you a few days ago. MJ, are you interested in coming to do the show? I got Sheldon Adelson, Russ Hamilton, and Shauna Hyatt in studio. None of that appears as if it's going to happen tonight, does it?
I might have told a little white lie there.
Okay.
Yeah. No. How about those three people in a room? That would be interesting.
Yeah, well, only Shauna was going to be in studio.
Oh, I love Shauna. Where's Shauna? Yeah. What's she doing?
Yeah, I mean, when you texted me and you said Colossus, I just assumed Russ Hamilton.
Oh, I see.
That's what
I got you.
I read between the lines on that one. But this is good, too, this World Series of Poker thing.
It's a great time. It's your favorite time of year, isn't it?
It is. I will say, I was just looking at a tweet from Poker Pro Alec Torelli. It was quite fitting for where I'm at right now. It was basically saying when you're involved or playing poker, it is your entire world, and when you stop playing poker, you literally forget that it ever existed. And I was kind of like that for...
Yeah, well, you just stepped away. You were done. I mean, it's been a long time.
I came back and I did the November 9 show because I had done the rest of the World Series, and then I've been off doing a whole bunch of other stuff, and probably looked at the forums occasionally just to see how the show was going.
Did you listen to a show or two?
Yeah, I did. But was I on Poker News? Was I on Bluff? Was I following the GPI? Was I checking tournament results? Was I seeing what the latest controversies were?
Yeah,
no,
not a thing.
But then along comes the World Series of Poker. The juices get flowing. I get the adrenaline pumping. I want to know everything that's going on. I'm checking out the fantasy. And then I get the invite to the show, and I'm like, heck yeah, I'm in. It was so weird. I went from 60 to 0 and 0 to 60 so quickly.
Fast.
And, people bitch and moan and complain about things around the World Series of Poker, but they really do love it.
Yeah.
I mean, all of the, and we'll get into some of these topics, of course, over the program, but it's just amazing that all of these people, they get so fired up and so excited. And the fact that I've been away for a while, now I'm right back into it. I'm on top of everything.
It's funny because you were always a steel trap for people, for poker players, faces, screen names, everything. We're prepping for the show today, and James Opp's name comes up. He goes deep in the tournament, and you're like, "What's his screen name again?" And I'm like,
"Yeah."
And a year ago, you would have snapped, and you'd known that in your sleep, like you said.
It was a little bit different. So we were keeping a close eye on everything, and there's a million different things going on, and we're going to have some fun talking about it. And by the way, it's going to be awesome to talk to LuckyChewy. He's certainly one of the most interesting and
is he the most interesting man in poker?
We'll find out tonight. But he's certainly he's got a different perspective on things. He's got certainly a new look at life, and I think he incorporates the poker into the other things that are important to him in a very unique way that we'll talk about. He's got a new book out called Yoga of Poker that we'll get into with him. He's fresh off another high roller win. He won the $25K on Saturday at Aria in their high roller series. He had a huge score at Bellagio back in December for nearly $2 million, and all the while he's on the raw food thing and traveling to India and Iceland and all sorts of weird places and doing the chill out Zen lifestyle. And I think it's going to be real cool.
Seems like he's in a good place, and I think that's going to be good for his poker game. And hopefully we can get some insight from him in the interview. I think we want to have.
If we had him in studio, we could have done this whole Twitch thing you guys do and shaved his beard on the air.
That would have paid a lot of money.
While the interview was happening, we could have twitched. Is that what you call it? Twitching?
We're twitching. The kids
twitched
twitch.
it.
That's what the kids do.
It took me a while to get onto this tweeting thing.
Yeah. Oh, you're an expert at that.
And now you guys are doing something completely different. So what is this?
Well, it's a live stream. We're not doing it this week. It's just you and I tend to do the show out of order, and it would be confusing, I think, to a lot of people. But generally, we'll Twitch the thing, and we live stream it, and people can see. It's like watching. We've already said it a few times, like watching sausage get made. You know, because of course we do it out of order, and we're editing and doing different things, trying to get a hold of people for phone interviews, etc. Sometimes Skype will run into a problem. We'll have to re-record something. So, but people seem to like it. They're tuning in. I mean, we don't get a ton of people watching every week, but I think it's growing. I think people are enjoying it.
Somerville hosted us.
Yeah,
that was a ton.
Number one.
Yeah. So he's very popular on that. I'm surprised he's actually in Las Vegas. He's so hooked on this Twitch. Apparently, he didn't leave the house for 6 weeks or something.
It was solid 7 hours a day for a couple of months.
It's like the poker. What was that Jim Carrey movie with the where there was a show, the Truman Show, and TV and all that.
That's right.
It kind of reminds me of that, where you just film people watching your life.
Yeah.
It kind of puts the kibosh on 9 years of pants optional broadcasting that we had here in the studio, though.
Pull that off.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be pretty airy and comfortable.
It was casual. Remember Bunner had casual year? He just decided that he was going to wear
pajamas for a year.
Pajamas and underwear for a year.
So no more pants optional on the Pokercast.
But finally, I have somebody to talk sports with. These guys aren't sports fanatics like you and I are.
Terrence will be. We're going to track him down. He's in Vegas.
He's in Vegas,
but he was in the Octagon a couple of days ago.
Fighting up a storm, and we're going to catch up with him. We all went down to the fight, and
so he's into
had a good night.
Sports.
He's into the sports he plays. Yeah, he's into it. He's a hockey fan.
It's a good week to be into sports. We got the NHL final.
Yeah,
called the Stanley Cup.
That is the because
and
it's
the NBA
Cup.
final, which is called the NBA final.
No, not quite the
marketing geniuses there in the tall men with short pants league. Yeah. So they got to work on a new name for that. But I mean, if it's ever a week to be a sports fan, and I've in all the years we go down to the World Series, we tend to go down more toward the main event, so we don't get to be in the midst of all these gamblers while the NHL and the NBA finals are going on, and they're always going on simultaneously. I'm heading down next week, so it's going to be very cool to be in Vegas at a time when both of those are going on, especially the NBA, which is hugely popular among the poker community.
Yeah, you head over to ESPN, the restaurant bar there. You'll be right in the middle of it all. It's a great place to watch it. They have the couches down front and the giant screen, and people are going to be right into the middle of it. A couple of years we've gone down. We've been in the middle of the World Cup,
exactly,
which has been fun. But obviously a few years away for that, and
no more SEP.
No more SEP, thank God.
Yes.
I can't believe it took this long, but SEP is done, thankfully. I was, speaking of sports, I just got back from the Matt Savage Invitational, the 20th annual.
I saw that.
Matt Savage Invitational.
The photo seemed kind of overwhelming. I've been on many golf junkets, some to, not Pebble, but some pretty cool spots. And we've had 16 guys in many cases. It looked to me like you had 40. It looked like 52. It was like a PGA event. There was, was there a cut?
I don't know.
Was there a Monday qualifier? There was a ton of guys. How was this organized?
It was amazing. Matt Savage, obviously, and his family and everybody was there organizing it, and the amount of peripheral stuff they have going on around this golf tournament was mind-boggling. Calcuttas and dinners and social events, all kinds of different stuff that was going on, and drafting teams and auctioning teams. And they pulled it off. I'm telling you, it was a well-oiled machine. They've done this is the 20th annual.
Matt Savage should consider organizing events for a living.
He could do that for a living. Yeah. I think he's got a bright future in that. But it was a lot of fun. You mentioned it was at Pebble in Monterey Peninsula there in California.
So you played the Spyglass?
I played first we played the Poppy Hills, which was a terrible golf course. I don't know why people like that. It was awful.
Because it's in the area.
Yeah, and then we played Pebble, and then we played.
And you snuck out for another
Spyglass.
9.
So that was fun. I played Pebble. I played with McMado, Matt Affleck. Joel Mika was in our group. Mike Gratz was in our group, and myself.
Does he cry when he makes a bogey too, or McMado only if his aces get cracked?
He's not listening. Poor guy. He's got to live with that for the rest of his life.
How many years? I love McMado, but
he's great. Yeah, and he can
that
play
was
some
a
golf.
setup. That was a setup.
Yeah. The guy we're with, Joel Mika, who actually coincidentally is in. We're doing a best televised Hand Madness right now. You remember the Madness competitions?
Yep.
Of course. Right now we're in the middle of television Hand Madness. Joel Mika, who I played with at the golf tournament, is actually in one of the hands.
Of course, he was runner-up the second time. I'm looking at your 10th anniversary PCA.
Right.
When we went to the 10th anniversary PCA, he came runner-up to Dimitar Janchev.
I'm telling you, the steel trap is still there.
Not bad, right?
You can pick that one out.
Not bad.
He shot 71 1 under at Pebble like it was nothing.
Really?
He was just striping things. I couldn't believe it. He was played awesome. It was fun to watch.
But you won all the money.
Not that day. I ended up losing, I think, 500 to Gratz, and I lost. McMahon and I broke even. I didn't have a match with Joel, so I ended up losing about 500. But the third round, we played Spyglass. Sorry, the second round. The first round of Puppy Hills was practice. First round of the tour was Pebble. Spyglass was the second round, and we played at I want to say Blackstone. It was Blackstone, something like that. Was the third round of the tour, and that was the pari-mutuel round where all the money ended up being on, and I go out and shoot 78, and I was getting 13 pops because they moved me right back to the back tees, which of course is a pretty big advantage for a guy who hits it long. It's not a big deal to be putting them at the back, especially when the course is wide open, so you can hit it anywhere. I end up shooting 78, net 65, and I took all the money in the pari-mutuel, so that was boom. Finished second in the overall tournament, shot 84 at Pebble, which I was happy with. I mean, it's Pebble Beach. But after Pebble, I played the round, and I got done about 6:20 or something. We were done, and it was a couple hours of light left. And I thought, when am I ever going to get a chance to get back to Pebble? This is the only time I'm coming in my life. You've got to stay 2 nights hotel at the Inn at Spanish Bay to play this track. It's $700 a night. You got to pay $500 to get on the course. I mean, we're looking at a lot of money.
What was the replay?
The replay was $270, and I thought, well, perfect. I'm going to go out and play as many holes as I can. I turn around, 52. Anybody want to go? Nobody wanted to go. They all wanted to go into the bar and drink.
Insane.
So I went by myself in a cart on Pebble Beach at 6:20 at night. I played the front 9. And the front 9 is the great 9. That's the 9 that's all along the water.
Okay. Signature hole is number in your
6 and 8.
6 and 8, okay.
8
so you got those in, yeah.
Yeah. I ended up playing the front 9 in 55 minutes. And I got up to 4. I played 14 holes, and I ran into traffic. I could have probably played close to most of them, but I just drove in. At that point, I was by myself and ready to go have a dinner.
We probably should have been talking to Matt about all this stuff. But what other notable poker personalities were on the trip? Mike Sexton was there.
Mike Sexton, I played the last two rounds with. We played 2 rounds the final day. There was a 36-hole layout there. One was the aforementioned 78. The second round was a scramble that we'd all drafted players for.
2-man, 4-man?
4-man scramble.
Okay.
And it was myself, Mike Sexton, a fellow named Kyle Cannon, who's a daily fantasy sports professional, and a gentleman from the Midwest, Jerry, who drafted the team. We went for the most money. We went for $2,500 in the Calcutta.
This is after your net 65.
It was before actually.
Okay.
But I think Sexton was the key because the deal is the high handicappers tee off on the red stakes. And I'm all the way back in the black on the very tip. So there's some holes he had 170 yards on me. But Mike hits it down the middle to 200 every hole. So we ended up going for a bunch of money. And we tied for first. 5 teams at 8 under par came in and tied. But here's a funny story. So in the Calcutta, Bruno Fatussi's team, Bruno's just picked up golf. He's only been playing for a couple of years, loves it. Just is in, those
he's
people.
He's such a legend, too.
He is awesome. I spent a couple nights drinking with him. But you know how infectious people are when they pick up golf when they're older and they've just picked it up. And he is in that mode right now. Yeah. He loves golf. He's terrible at it, but he loves it, right?
The funny thing is, if you're a golfer and somebody infectiously loves golf, it doesn't bother you. If you're a a veteran poker player and a new poker player is all fired up and excited about poker. They're the most annoying person in the world.
Yes,
so a little different with golf.
Very true.
Different with golf.
So his team goes for $500, the minimum bid in the Calcutta, and we go for, I don't know, whatever it was. And I said, and we're in the bar, and I'm with Mike Sexton and Scott Wilson, our friend, and some other people. We're in the bar after the Calcutta, and I said, there's zero chance that any team in a Calcutta is 4 times better than the other team.
Right.
It's just not possible. So I tell you what, I'll take Bruno's team for $500, and you guys can have 4-1. You put up 2,000, pick whoever you want. You put up 2,000. I'll take Bruno's team for 500. And Sexton says, sure. Oh yeah, they're 4 times better. I'll take them. And Wilson's had the same thing. He goes, oh God, they're terrible. They have no shot. And I said, okay, no problem. So they each picked a team. And Bruno's team ends up shooting, and Bruno comes in. He was the last team to come in, and I run up to him. Bruno, how'd you do? Because the other teams tied for first. They were both at 8 under too. The guys that they picked. Really? And I'm thinking, oh shit, I got a shot because the bet was win outright. So these guys were drawing dead. I was free rolling at this point. I said, Bruno, how did you do? He goes, Jesus, we should have made that last putt. And I'm thinking, oh, big deal. It was probably for 2 under or something. He goes, we finished 8 under.
Oh, no.
And I said, what?
No.
He goes, we missed a 3-footer on the last hole. All 4 of us missed a 3-footer on the last hole. Otherwise, I win $4,000.
Now, when you're doing a Calcutta, there can be big money on the line.
There is, yeah.
And you're doing a scramble format.
Yeah.
That's open to when you got that many guys and you've got groups and all that. That's a little. I'd be a bit concerned if I'm putting up $3-4 on a team and you've got 4 guys playing on the same hole with nobody watching them, all with the same financial interests in mind. We've played a lot of tournaments at our club where you'll have a 4-man team. 2 of the guys, but this is when you play your own ball,
right,
not a scramble.
Yeah.
2 of the guys will play in one group, 2 of them will play in the other group, and then flip and flop just for that reason. Yeah. So clearly the Vancouver Golf Club is not quite as trusting as
it's the poker saying, you're good as your word, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't think anything was crazy going on. You mentioned bringing in Matt to talk a little bit about it. Let's do that later. We got a ton of stuff to talk to him about going on in the poker world.
Right?
Obviously
World Series of Poker is the number one topic, but there has been all kinds of news coming out of Aria as well this past few days.
Yeah.
And
some good,
of course,
some bad.
Matt's the tournament director for the big WPT 500, which is not without some controversy. And then there was another pretty bizarro event over the weekend at the Aria too. So we'll talk about that, and then talk a bit of golf with that as well. But
let's get into some in case you missed it.
How did he miss the open goal? 6x4, and he comes up 0. Oh, no!
Oh, yes! He missed it!
He's missed it! How on earth did he miss that?
Obviously, the lead story of the week, and normally when we do World Series of Poker coverage in the past, we've kind of gone chronologically through the events as they happen, but we can't do that this time around because we have just witnessed poker history with the Colossus event, which was targeted, and we now know officially is the largest live poker event ever held.
Not by a little bit.
Not by a little bit. The previous was, of course, the 2006 main event, 8,700. Of course, $10,000 buy-in. The buy-in for this was 5,600, or sorry, 565. 565, and with the option to purchase up to 4 bullets in total for 4 different flights that they would hold over 2 different starting days, and ton of anticipation for this event. It had a $5 million guarantee on it, which meant that they needed 10,000 players to
10,000
hit that.
entries.
10,000 entries.
Yeah.
And they, of course, were expected to easily exceed that. And a lot of the predictions were coming in the 15 to 20,000 entry range, and they ended up exceeding that as well. At one point in time, there was up to 24,000 entries, but with refunds that you were able to get for flights that you didn't play in. The number ended up being 22,374, nearly triple the size of any live poker tournament ever held before. Flight A, B, C, and D all had over 5,000 entries each. Flight C, the biggest, on Saturday morning with 6,283. They absolutely blew it away. 5 million guarantee. They probably could have gone 10 million guarantee, to be honest. And I'm a little bit surprised that they didn't. Where were you in anticipating this with your entries? What were you thinking?
I had it north of 20,000. I saw some discussion from the people at the World Series of Poker who thought it would be north of 20,000. Those people generally have access to all the information that you need to make those predictions. But when we talk about the largest live poker tournament ever, I really want to wait until we get the actual number of people that play this event.
The unique entries.
Right,
and
because we compare it against the main event. Like you said, the Jamie Gold year, and we talk about 8,700 people in that. That is 8,700 people. One bullet playing that tournament. So if we're gonna say this is the largest poker tournament in the world, I think we have to wait till that number is
of unique entries.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot. I think it's probably in the 15,000 range with about 7,300 re-entries.
Yeah. Yeah,
so probably in that range. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to blow that number away. But, yeah, I'm surprised that the World Series of Poker hasn't come out. It's now day 4 of the event. They're getting close to the final table, and we still don't know how many unique entries there were versus how many re-entries there were. And when we're talking about a history-making event, I agree. I think that's important information to have. And what were your thoughts on the whole prepay for 4 flights and then get a refund if you don't use them idea? At times it made the entries appear higher than they actually were, as a lot of those would not end up getting played. But from a marketing standpoint, if you've already paid for 4, say you bust out of a flight, and normally you would say, do I want to re-enter? Do I not want to re-enter? Maybe I'll go for dinner. Maybe I'll get some rest. Maybe I'm tired and I don't want to play in it. But if you've already got the seat assignment in your hand and the money's already in the cage, the likelihood that you're going to fire that second, third, or fourth bullet, to me, increases dramatically. Was it a marketing tactic?
Yeah, I think so. And there seems like they're taking advantage with the inefficient registration system that they have. Because, I mean, I understand this is an exceptional situation. This is a tournament that's going to create traffic issues. I get that.
If you don't buy all 4, you're prepared to stand in line for 3 hours. So you might as well buy all 4. And now that you've bought all 4, you might as well use them.
But if they had an actual proper way to register people that is efficient, then they wouldn't have that wouldn't be necessary. That's the issue for me.
2015, there's this internet thing.
There's the internet. Exactly. It's 2015. To have lineups all the way down to Starbucks or down the hallway to the casino to register for an event is crazy.
Especially when they have their own online site now.
Oh my God! There's just got to be a better way.
That they could incorporate into the whole process. So it kicked off on Friday. On Thursday, they announced they were going to also accept late wave entry registration.
Right.
So they would cap the registration for Flight A, but then they said, okay, it's going to start at 10 a.m. early start for World Series of Poker event, but between 12:15 and 2 o'clock, somewhere around level 4 or level 5, you could potentially get in as a late wave. They went with 40-minute levels, not 60-minute levels, so it was not a turbo, but it was closer to a turbo in terms of the normal 60-minute levels in a $1K or a $1,500 World Series of Poker event. So the plan was that for the 6 p.m. later flight, that at least it would end at 2 a.m. in the morning, and not 4 a.m. But then they ended up changing the start time for the later flight from 6 p.m. till 7, and they ended up playing until after 3 a.m. for Flight B and Flight D as well.
So that's just to touch on that first, the late wave concept, as it were. You're going in, especially if you go in at 7 o'clock, you're going in pretty short. I mean, let's face it. But that's people's option. They know what they're getting into when they do sign up. And I saw some complaining about that on Twitter, and I'm thinking, well...
the 7 o'clock was for the second flight of the day.
Sorry, the 4 o'clock.
The late wave was 2 or 3, but you're still level 5.
You're still level 4, level 5. You're going in short. But people know that when they sign up. So if you're going to do that... And
it's $500 a crapshoot.
Exactly, yeah. So I didn't have much of a problem with it. I like the fact that they did bring more entries into it that way.
Oh, for sure. And everybody's flown into town. The last thing you want to do is market this thing, get everybody excited. They fly into town and they get turned away.
Yeah,
right.
They're spending $200 a night in a hotel.
Yes. So that would not have gone over well. Now, another wrinkle that was in this was you could forfeit your stack, but you could not rescind that decision. Once you got to the end of the day and you saw
how many 1,000 left, you say, screw it.
Flight A, yeah.
Flight A.
Flight A, say you've got 1,000 and you say, okay, there's 3 more flights. This is the last thing I want to do is bag up 1,000 chips when a bunch of people are going to have 150 grand.
Yeah.
So you couldn't rescind it. So this, to me, appeared to potentially be a recipe for a logistical nightmare if they didn't have things organized.
Right.
And my question is, and I haven't really got the answer for this yet, is how were they, because they've pre-sold seat assignments. Remember, if you bust out,
all 4.
Normally in a re-entry event, if you bust out, you go back to the cage and you re-enter. Or you go back, like in the Monster Stack, for example, or the Millionaire Maker. If you bust out,
you don't have chips when you go back and register for the next day.
Right.
You don't have a remaining chip.
Exactly. And you bust out day 1A, and then you go back and you register for day 1B.
No issue.
But in this case, you've already got 4 pre-assigned seats. So let's say you bag up 18,000 on Flight A, and you've got a seat assignment for Flight B, and you show up for Flight B with your seat assignment, and you sit down and you hand that to the dealer. How is that dealer, with no computer or anything in front of him, supposed to know whether you just bagged up a stack an hour earlier in Flight A and should be turned away, or whether you are allowed to play in this? And I haven't had anybody explain to me how they were able to ensure that people who had bagged up stacks weren't still firing a second bullet.
Yeah, I don't think that's been told how if that did happen, because clearly there would be somebody in the field who would be confused. There's many best stack forward tournaments.
The WPT at the Aria that's going on right now, simultaneously with the Colossus, was exactly that structure, where you could pick your favorite stack.
Yeah, exactly. So this guy says, well, I bought all 4. I thought this was a pick your stack. I bagged up 18,000. I'm trying to win another stack. And they say, well, sorry, sir, you've now forfeited that 18,000 chip stack, and meanwhile he's run up to 21,000.
And I never. And he says, but I never did forfeit that stack.
Right.
Nobody told when I came and sat down. Nobody told me that I couldn't play.
And don't tell me the Rio's organized enough to figure that out.
And I've still yet to get an answer to how they had complete control over all of that. So it was a little strange. So they ended up.
Well, not only that, when you're talking about forfeiting, you get down late in the day. You're in the last 4 hands. You've got 3,000. You've got a borderline, or 4 or 5,000, whatever. You got a borderline stack where you're thinking, I don't know. Should I take this one forward? And you have 4,000 in chips. Well, you take 3,000 off, put it in your palm, and now you have a nice little stack the next day.
Seems tough to monitor.
It
seems really tough to monitor.
Hard.
All right, so 22,000 plus entries generated a prize pool of $11,187, and it also generated $1.4 million in rake, which some people were outraged by. But
they didn't look at the 5 plus 65 or something before they signed it.
Yeah. So $1.4 million in rake. Good haul for WSOP.com. So I think you would consider it a success financially, at least in a vacuum for that event. But what about for the poker community? Before we talk about anything else for how the tournament ended up, if we are to go with that number of 15,000 unique poker players playing in a World Series of Poker live event, I mean, how is that anything but great news for the health and state of tournament poker?
I think it says a lot of things. First of all, you're right. I think live poker is not dead. I don't think it's anywhere near that. But I think what it speaks to clearly is that the recreational player, the common man, that guy doesn't want to play $2,500 tournaments. He doesn't want to play $5,000 WPTs. He wants to play a $500 tournament with a shot at the same amount of money. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I got to beat 22,000 people for 500 instead of beating 400.
Right.
You know, to put up 10 grand or 5 grand. But this
want the life-changing.
This is a lottery.
Dream.
It's
and
gambling.
That's the way that so many people who gamble, and poker's gambling, approach it.
Yeah.
That's why they buy lottery tickets.
Absolutely.
And a lot of them, I think, looked at this way and said, 5 million guaranteed. They're probably going to blow that away. Maybe there's 10 million, and I could win first place for only $500.
Yeah.
Clearly, that was what enticed many of them to come out, which is great. But at least they came out.
No question.
It worked.
It was a huge success. Again, for Caesars, you talked about the $1.4 million in rake, but that's not it. You get 20 or let's say 15,000 people, 15,000 uniques walking through their property, spending money in their restaurants, buying drinks at the hooker bar, going for food, wherever they were in the real property. A huge financial. They could have run that thing rake free and made a lot of money.
Oh, for sure. And a lot of them who would have been intimidated by playing in a World Series of Poker event before have now popped their WSOP cherry, and maybe they will play a 1K. Yep. Oh, I've been there before. It wasn't any big deal. It was just like playing poker in my $100 event back in my home casino. It was great. I'll play a 1K next year. I'll play a 1,500. They've seen how fun it is, how enjoyable it is, and that they can compete a lot. I mean, we're down to 20 players, and I recognize 2 names. Clearly some guys are having the run of their life. Now, whether they're having the score of their life with that life-changing money has been the subject of quite a bit of controversy when it was announced late on day 2 that the payouts were going to, first of all, pay over 2,200 players were going to cash, and 5.7% of the prize pool was all that was going to go to first place, to the tune of $638,000, which, when you look at return on investment, $500 buy-in, $638,000 on the surface, it seems massive. But when you're talking about the overall concept, believe it or not, that number disappointed a lot of people. They wanted that number to be higher.
And you mentioned the ROI and the World Series of Poker on their Twitter site, on their Twitter account.
The press machine, yeah.
I think it's Seth is behind it. He said ROI is through the roof. What are you talking about? And it's such kind of a weak argument because the ROI is big, but the reason it's big is because I had to get through 22,000 people to win it. I mean, the ROI, to use that as
it's big.
Oh, stop complaining. The ROI is fantastic. Well, of course it is. I've got to beat 22,000 people.
But the ROI, if the field is triple the size of any other tournament ever, the ROI should also be triple the size of any other tournament in history as well. So, whether there was strategy behind going with the flatter pay because they wanted more money back into more people's pockets that were in Vegas, and maybe they would flip it into another buy-in in a tournament, or spend it in the pit, or spend it at a nightclub, or any number of things. Maybe that was the case. Maybe they wanted more people to cash. But when you have 22,000 entries in a tournament, normally you pay 10%, but not if 8,500 of those entries are re-entries.
Right.
If you only have 14,000 or 15,000 actual players, the reality is they probably should have paid somewhere around 1,500 or 1,600 people,
exactly.
Not 2,200 people. And if they had paid the appropriate number of people based on the fact that you got to look at entrants, not entries, then there would have been a heck of a lot more money up top for the top 6 or 7 players.
Yeah, and to pay 5%, 5.7% to first place of the prize pool is the lowest in history by far. It's not even close. And a lot of people wouldn't have played the event if they would have known in advance that the winner was going to get 5.7% of the prize pool.
Why do you think? I mean, I don't disagree with you. And I know some of them might have said that as, I thought it would be at least $1 million. But I don't know why they wouldn't do that, because the only people that it doesn't benefit are the people who make the final table. They're the ones that are losing out on it. And
most proportional.
Yes, the life-changing money is not what you thought it would be. But there was a lot of people who were complaining that first place should have got a lot more, and subsequently second, third, fourth, and fifth. And if that was the case, then there would have been 400 or 500 people who did cash that would have got nothing. And then the other thing they did is they had a lot of jumps that seemed to escalate a lot earlier than they should have. If you finished in 594th place, you won $5,000. You won 10 times your buy-in. I don't think any poker tournament where you come 594th. I don't care if there's 1 million people in the tournament that you should be making 10 times your buy-in. But for those people, because it was a flatter pay scale, they ended up getting $2,000 or $3,000 more than what they otherwise would have.
Right.
So, as a concept and as a theory, I see why people would like it. But in actual practice, only the people at the final table are losing out.
But that's where you picture yourself. I mean, that's why you enter these things, right?
Sure.
To final table and take these things down. Especially when you can wave you think of the Millionaire Maker. That's why people play the Millionaire Maker, because they want to win the mill ball. You know what I mean? So, wading through the giant field has got to be worth it. And if it's 5.7% of the prize pool, then a lot of people are going to make a different decision, I think.
Yeah, I follow.
It's the lottery concept, right? I mean, especially for that recreational player who signs up to this tournament, just like we said, because it's a lottery mentality. And if you don't have that lottery payout at the top, then people are going to think twice about it.
I follow Ryan LaPlante. We got a recent guest on the program, Potential, and he was outraged. And he was still alive in the tournament. Yeah. And he just thought it was horrible. And he ends up finishing in 35th place. Yeah. Now, that finishing in 35th place with this structure, he ended up with $30,000. Had the structure actually gone the way he wanted to, he probably only would have got about $15,000 to $20,000
for sure.
So the that mistake in payout that he hated actually benefited him to probably double the cash that he would have otherwise got.
But I'll bet you if you ask him, he's still not happy about it, even though he did benefit. I mean, he played that tournament and almost won it. Let's face it, he got through 22,000 people, came 35th. And, he didn't have that huge score. Well, I mean, still huge. I understand 600 is a lot, but we're talking about a difference. That should have been at least $1 million, in my opinion. It's a pretty big difference. One of the tweets of the week, we've got 140 or less, a little sneak peek, but we won't run the intro or anything. But Jared Jaffe he tweeted, "Congrats to the soon-to-be Colossus winner who will both win and lose 600K simultaneously."
So
true. Is true, right?
And that'll be interesting when we do get down to a winner where he's ecstatic that he's won a bracelet, he's made history, and then there might be this cloud hanging over it. It's like, but I really should have $1 million right now. Yeah. That'll be interesting to see how that goes down when we find out who these final 3 or 4 people are who made it that far, who did climb the top of the mountain and are feeling that they kind of got ripped off. Because the other 2,200 people that cashed actually made out very well financially. Many of whom shouldn't have cashed at all, and the others who made a lot more money than they would have had they changed the pay scale. Will they change this for next year based on the reaction? I get the sense they probably will.
I hope so. I think they were very defensive about it on their social media accounts. Seth got his back up.
It was interesting, though, because they were saying, wait a minute. Last year, you guys didn't like the $10 million guaranteed for first, and you thought the payout was too steep in the main event, and we were going to do the $10 million again this year, and you said, no, pay more people and have it a little bit flatter. But again, he's comparing. I mean, talk about apples versus oranges. A single entry event versus a re-entry event, and a 10K buy-in versus a $500 buy-in, they are so polar opposite types of events. To use the two and say, well, you liked it for this and you don't like it for that. It's like, yeah, because they're completely different tournaments.
And the fact that that they actually said that really makes me worried for the World Series of Poker, because it's completely obvious that those two things are not comparable. Yet they jumped behind and they get their back up and they say, oh, look, you guys wanted it this way. We gave it to you this way. Now you're complaining. Well, that's so. If it's not disingenuous, then I'm very concerned for the World Series of Poker, because it's something that should be obvious to them.
Because it was a tournament that had never ever existed before. We'd never had a field of this size.
Yep.
Was the right thing to do was to post the proposed prize pool
in advance.
And the payouts.
Not the prize pool. The percentage breakdown of payouts.
But if the percentage is changing based on it, say, okay, here's what the payouts will be based on 15,000, based on 18,000, based on 22,000, and here's what it will be, and then elicit some feedback on that. You would think that might have been, in retrospect, the way to go. Is it enough of a stain on the event, though, to not consider it ultimately a huge success, though? I mean, if anybody expected an event of this size where you've got people playing in the poker kitchen and in restaurants and everywhere else, if anybody thought this was going to go off without any hitches at all, I mean, they were kind of fooling themselves.
I totally agree. We're focusing on some of the issues that came up, which is naturally what you're going to do in hindsight. But as you said, the massive success that this thing was turnout-wise, and giving a shot in the arm to live tournament poker and the World Series of Poker is overshadows by far these problems that we're talking about.
It's not that big of a deal.
This is not that big of a deal.
It really is.
It's stuff that we can work on next year if they continue this tournament, and hopefully they will, given the success that it was. I hope we see this tournament again. Then there's things that they can change. And again, first year of an event. But I think that they knew they had a pretty good idea of what this turnout was going to be like. And one of my biggest pet peeves with the World Series of Poker is they don't have enough people at the wickets to process people registering for tournaments, cashing out of other tournaments.
Well, and of course, this tournament, it wasn't the only tournament going on.
Exactly.
It was those 2-day ones.
5, yeah.
But once they got to Sunday and Monday, there was a bunch of other tournaments starting, and the payouts got backlogged, and it really affected the ability for people to register for other events, for sure. So it definitely had fallout.
One of the things I saw people complaining about was the rake, and when you did the math, it was $1.4 million for Caesars that they held on this 13% rake on the $500 buy-in. They were saying, oh, the first prize is $600,000, the rake is $1.4 million. That's insane. But that's a silly comparison. You knew how much the rake was when you signed up.
Oh, for sure.
500 plus 65.
Just do the math.
Do the math.
Yeah,
you know how much is coming out.
Even if you doubled the amount of money for first place, the rake was still going to exceed first place because there's 23,000 entries, and it's a re-entry, so they're juicing you every time. But you've got your head in the sand if you don't think this was the most expensive poker tournament for a company to ever run. I mean, the Rio
they did fine by it, but you're right. It's expensive.
They made money, and I'm sure they're happy with what they took in. But the Rio doesn't have 300 extra poker tables just lying around, and 300 extra dealers, and 30 extra floormen. And if they're using the poker kitchen for playing a poker tournament, then they're not able to sell food in there, and restaurants and every other thing. This was an extremely expensive endeavor on their side of things as well. So the whole money grab thing, whether you paid first place 1.2 or 700,000, the rake was the rake.
Exactly.
The rake was the rake. Well, talk about the actual tournament. Very interesting. The bubble burst with 5 players off the money. The bubble hand had 9 people bust out
Did it really?
on the same hand.
Wow.
I see that in online tournaments like the Sunday Storm, and I've seen that in some of these let's set an online record. Never in my life have I heard of a bubble where 9 people bust out on the same hand. 5 players, you're 5 off the money and you still cash.
It's strange because the World Series, the main event, usually gets down to hand for hand when there's like 7 people to go, and there'll still be 500 or 600 people. So there's 70 tables. And how they do it is every dealer deals a hand, and when the hand is complete, the dealer stands up. And it's usually maybe one of the 500 people will bust each hand. To have 9 people bust, is that right? 9 people bust on the final hand is incredible.
Well, because there were still 230 tables left.
Yeah, exactly. But still, 9 is crazy. It's
even with those numbers.
Yeah,
really, really weird. But so many people must have been down to one big blind, right?
Maybe,
I mean, talking about a lot of amateurs that are just trying to hold on for the cash. The cash out was a disaster because there was about 1,000 players unable to get paid out due to cash out backlogs. Some of it was because software went down.
What is that, by the way?
And the rest of it was just simply because there was a lot of people who came into town simply to play this one event. I mean, the way that the Rio says is, you can come back next week and cash it out. You don't have to cash it out right now. You've got the rest.
Meanwhile, it's the casual players that are all
cashing. You've got the rest of the summer, and they're like, yeah, but I'm not here all summer.
Right.
My flight leaves in 7 hours.
And it's 9 hours to get cashed out.
And I'm standing in a 7-hour line to get cashed out. What would you like me to do here? And then the software went down. And I heard a lot of people saying that when the software went down for registrations, they were actually manually registering people for the event, yet so they could get more people in.
Of course.
Yet when the software went down for cash outs and people had planes to catch, you had to wait till the software went back up. So there was a little bit of frustration on that front. But yeah, you've got a whole bunch of recreational players all trying to cash out and head back to wherever they live at the same time. And it was a disaster. Another side effect of the Colossus was the wait lists for cash games. While that event was going on, there were so many poker players in town that busted out of this tournament, or maybe they weren't playing Friday, but they're playing Saturday, and they're like, that's okay, I'll play the Colossus and I'll play a bunch of cash games. No, you won't.
Guess what?
Oh, no, you won't. I saw some pics from the lineups, and they were literally waitlist for Omaha. 119 people.
Wow.
Yeah, and
all over Vegas was crazy.
Everywhere.
All the poker rooms in Vegas, there was 4-hour lineups to get into 1-2 no-limit hold'em games. So, when we talk about the success that this tournament was for the Rio and for, tournament poker, that's not just it. I mean, there were so many poker players in town. Everybody's staying at different hotels. They want to play, maybe go back to their hotel room.
Didn't matter where you went.
Roll down to the poker room and play. Didn't matter. You were sitting in the lineup for a long time to get into a poker game. So good for all of Vegas and good for all of the live poker rooms around Vegas.
It was the biggest poker weekend in the history of Las Vegas.
Yeah.
The Planet Hollywood ran their Goliath tournament, which had, maybe Ross can get it for us, but it had a ridiculous prize pool and turnout. Ronnie Bard is in the, I think he's heads up right now for that event, and the prize pool's like $500,000 up top for that one. And of course, the WPT event at Aria, the Aria 500 was going on at the same time. So this was the greatest poker weekend in Las Vegas history. In terms of pure volume.
Yeah.
As far as the actual results of the tournament, we don't have a winner yet. We don't even have a final table. We're not even sure whether they're going to make it through the Colossus in the 4 scheduled days. They may end up going.
The other thing. They said
they may end up going to a 5th day here.
They said it was a 4-day tournament. And, I mean, that's. When you have 22,000 entries, it's going to be pretty hard to get through in 4 days.
Well,
they've done that for a long time. They just add days.
They're down to 13, and the biggest name, a longtime friend of the show, Ray Henson, sitting in 7th place. Adichie Prasado is probably the only other sort of semi-household name that's in it. Among the bigger names that made it to the 4th and final day, I mentioned Ryan LaPlante, Mike Leah, Josh Field, a.k.a.,
JJ
Prodigy. Anthony Spinella was also among the final 20 players as well. So a few decent-sized names, but they're down to 13.
Awesome that we recognize one name in the final 13. That's all I got. I recognize one of these names. But when you're talking about
Ray Henson and Adichie Preciado, those are the only two I've ever heard of.
Oh, I didn't know that guy. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, and Cord Garcia and Ray Henson.
Oh, they were roommates.
Are roommates with David ODB Baker,
right.
And the two of them are roommate. What's the math on that?
That's pretty crazy.
22,400 entries. I just noticed this. And two of the final 13 are roommates.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Holy shit, that's crazy. So quite the event, and so much else happening at the World Series of Poker that we should get to. So I'll let it throw to you. I don't know. Do you still have a sponsor for the show?
I don't know how.
How does that work?
Somehow or another, we still kept a sponsor. We got a new one too. That new sponsor is CrushLivePoker.com from our your buddy, Bart Hansen.
Love it. He's doing well at the World Series.
He's doing fantastic. We've picked him in the 2+2 Pokercast pool team for the fantasy team for David ODB Baker's pool.
The $500, not the $25,000 one. We didn't put a team into that.
We put a couple of teams right now.
Are we? We got Bart Hansen, right?
Yeah,
we're
he's killing it in the rest.
So we're gonna do a little strategy segment here. This is CrushLivePoker.com, as mentioned. Bart Hansen. Now, Roscoe, what is Bart talking about this week?
This week, it's not a specific strategy subject, but it's more about treating the
fishy.
Right.
Being a good.
Don't tap the tank.
Not tapping the fish tank.
All right.
And why that's important.
Let's hear what Bart has to say about being nice to the recreational players. You're listening to the 2+2 Pokercast, presented by the Pokerstars VIP Club. More right after this.
Hey everybody, welcome to another 2+2 Strategy Minute brought to you by CrushLivePoker.com. I'm Bart Hansen, and this week I actually don't want to talk about specific strategy. I want to talk about the environment of live poker. It really amazes me how many people who play poker for profit make it uncomfortable for recreational players to come in and have a good time. If you make money from playing poker, you're amongst the minority. People come to play poker to have a good time. They don't want to hear someone berate them for bad play. You don't have the right to win a pot just because you are 80-20 in a certain hand. A lot of live players don't understand this. Poker is an arbitrage. You need to make it comfortable for the recreational players to come in on a regular basis in order for you to make a profit over the long term. Now let's get back to the Pokercast.
Hey, it's Team PokerStars Pro Eugene Kachalov. The PokerStars Sunday Million is the largest weekly online tournament. Win your seat with hundreds of satellite throughout the week. Hope you're enjoying the 2+2 Pokercast presented by the PokerStars VIP Club.
At the 800 table, UTG min raises to 8K with 32 big blind effective. Cutoff calls with 70 big blinds, and I call with 10-9 of spades on the button with a stack of 400K. Both blinds fold. Flop comes Jack 8-6 rainbow with 1 spade. UTG bets 14K, cutoff calls, and I overcall. The turn is the ace of spade, giving me a flush draw. UTG keeps on betting, 32K this time. Cutoff calls again, and I raise to 90K. After tanking for a few minutes, UTG lets it go. Cutoff takes even longer before folding too.
Team Pro Online's Marc-Andre French Dog Ladouceur is a Supernova Elite VIP. This is the 2+2 Pokercast, presented by the Pokerstars VIP Club.
Hey folks, don't forget to follow the Pokercast crew on Twitter. Adam is at PokercastAdam, and he'll keep you up to date on things like upcoming guests, listener contests, and all the latest bacon-related food innovations. Follow Ross at PokercastRoss, and you'll discover new hip-hop bands and learn how to not play Microstakes No Limit. Also, give us a like on Facebook, where we post lots of photos and other nonsense. Hey, poker fans, don't forget about the 2plus2.com digital magazine. Each month, a wide array of poker professionals and media write fascinating articles about the game you love. Want to learn about big blind versus small blind hand ranges? How about optimal Jeopardy daily double strategy? Topics like those and many others are covered every month. Head on over to 2plus2.com to see what the magazine has to offer this month.
Hey guys, the 2015 World Series of Poker is in full effect, and CrushLivePoker.com is doing an incredible promotion. All you have to do is go to CrushLivePoker.com/WSOP and sign up to our site for free. You'll be entered into our free Monster Stack promotion. That's right, we're giving away a free seat into the Monster Stack held on June 12th in Las Vegas. Check it out. Good luck at the tables.
Welcome back to the 2+2 Pokercast, presented by the Pokerstars VIP Club. We got some more World Series of Poker stuff to get into. We're going to have LuckyChewy in the third break, the third segment.
Steve D or Sven the Porsche guy?
No,
Steve D this week?
Yeah, that's old school, Sven. We should try and track him down.
He should be doing the updates
he should.
For sure. Tons of other World Series of Poker events. We're actually up to event 11 underway this evening with the 1500 No Limit. The other event that kicked off today was the Pot Limit Hold'em. And no, I think the Pot Limit Hold'em was yesterday, but a number of events underway, but there's also a number of events in the books. We'll skip the casino employees event, but I definitely want to touch on the first big open field event, the 5K No Limit Hold'em. 422 entries.
By the way, that's a good number.
I understand that's right down. Off the bat.
Yeah, I think it might be down a little bit, but right off the bat, a 5K gets 422 entries. I think that's good. I mean, we looked at the total numbers around the Colossus, and they're all down, of course, because the Colossus is going to suck up so many players. But that is a pretty good number.
Yeah, I don't think it ate anything. There's very little overlap of people that would skip a 5K in order to wait on the Colossus. Michael Wang, who I believe is a regular listener of the program, wins his first bracelet. So shout out and congrats to him, especially for the manner in which he did it, beating Bryn Kenny, who I don't know if the word is blue, but surrendered a 9-1 chip lead heads up to end up as the runner-up. And I'm watching the event, and Bryn Kenny is just slow. I'm on the live stream, and he's slowly padding his lead, and just chipping up to the point where he's got 90% of the chips. And I think when there was 4 people left, he had 75% of the chips. And it was his tournament to lose, no question. And then it gets down to heads up, and he's up 9-1, and he spent hours just dominating this event. And in 4 hands, it's over the other way.
Boom, boom, boom.
Boom. Yeah. Double, and flush over flush, and it's done.
Poker's brutal.
Unbelievable. I just couldn't believe it. Like, he was hours and hours of dominating, and then Michael Wang, he battled back a little bit, but then Kenny built it back up, and then all of a sudden 3 straight double ups. I mean, if you're down 9-1, you double up twice, you're back to even, and then one more, and it's over.
He was really in it to win it, though. I watched it too, and we were at the fight, I guess, the day after he won the bracelet, and then I tweeted out that Terrence won, and I saw that he favorited it, and I was like, is this the same Michael Wang?
I'm pretty sure
so
it is.
I looked it up, and then I tried to tweet at him, but I ended up sending him a private message, and we started chatting a bit, and so props to him.
Yeah, Pokercast Karma.
Pokercast Karma, that's what it is.
Greg Merson, Joe Ebanks, and Amir Lahavit, former November Niner and former world champ, among the big names at that final table. Crazy one-outer at the final table. Greg Merson has jacks. Opponent has aces. Yeah. Set over set, and Merson binks the quad jack ball on the turn. The old one-outer with 4 people left in a 5K buy-in World Series event, and the look on the opponent's face was equivalent to the Carter Gill luck. So if you can find the video and you can see a replay of Greg Mercer one-outing a guy at the 5K final table, check it out. It was very Carter Gill-like in the reaction.
That happened in the employees event, heads up, there was another amazing hand where Guy had 10-8 of diamonds, flopped a flush. It was an ace-high 3-diamond board, and he had 10-8 of diamonds. He flopped a flush. The other guy had 2 kings with no diamond, spazzed out, went all in, and went runner full house.
Ouch.
Oh, that's casino employees, you bet.
and that pretty much is that tournament in a nutshell. That's hilarious. Robert Mizrachi wins his 3rd World Series of Poker bracelet in Event 3. Got his 2nd last year in the first ever Dealer's Choice event, and follows it up quickly with his 3rd in the 1500 Omaha 8 or better. Yeah. The absolute craziest poker stat. Okay. The chances of 2 roommates making the final table of the Colossus is one thing. But listen to this one. There are 2 people on the planet who have exactly 35 World Series of Poker caches and 3 World Series of Poker bracelets. One is Robert Mizrachi. The other one is Michael Mizrachi.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's
nobody
nuts.
else in the world has 35 caches and 3 bracelets, and 2 brothers have the exact same stats.
You know what it reminds me of? And it's completely different, but it reminds me of the Sedins.
Right.
When they always finish within a couple of points of each other at the end of the year.
Right.
But it's because they're on
the same line,
and
it's less random.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are good at different games. They don't enter all the same events. Robert doesn't play nearly as much as Michael.
They punch back when somebody punches them.
That is an uncanny stat. I couldn't believe it when I saw that one. Event 4 was the 3K shootout event, and the big story here was Hollywood actor James Woods of hundreds of movies and Oscar nominations makes a final table run, his first ever final table after years of participating at the World Series of Poker.
He's a poker junkie, loves it. I see him at the Commerce all the time. He's always around any poker tournament in LA. He'll be playing, and he loves it. Loves it.
And over and above making the final table, although things didn't go very well for him, apparently some guy, after he won his second match to his second table in the shootout to make it to the final, came up, gives him a big sort of noogie hug around the neck. James Woods has had a very bad neck injury for many, many years. He's nearly 70 years old now, and he said, the guy twisted and sprained my neck. I couldn't lie down. He sat in a chair the entire night between the second table until the final table started at 3 p.m. the next day and couldn't move.
Wow.
What a way to go into your first final table ever. But he didn't use it as an excuse. He said, I still didn't play as well as the opponents anyways. In that second match, by the way, he had a marathon heads-up battle with none other than WCG rider, Doug Polk. He beats Doug Polk in the second round.
How awesome is that?
Yeah.
He's heads-up with the best heads-up player in the world?
Doug was 4-1 at one point, too.
Wow.
And it lasted for a long, long time.
Good for James.
But the interview, Chad Holloway of Poker News tracked him down and interviewed James Woods and said, a quote, making the final table, it was effing fabulous. It was a highlight of his life.
Doesn't need the money. The money's not a big deal to him.
Yeah, making movies with De Niro and Pacino, and that's all right.
Cool. No. Making the final table.
Making the final table, that was great.
Well, the way he did it, beating Doug Polk, getting to the final table, that's fantastic. I ran into him last year at All-American Dave's place, just outside. You go outside the door, All-American Dave has his truck set up.
Out there,
and James is just standing there, and we're both waiting for our food, and I said, buddy, one of my top 10 movies of all time is Salvador. I just love that movie. Him and Jim Belushi, are in it. If you haven't seen Salvador, go see this movie. It's fantastic. And we sat there talking about that movie. He just couldn't wait to talk about it. I guess
that's awesome.
Maybe nobody else talks to him about that specific movie, and he wanted to tell the stories, but he was great.
Weird format once again in the shootout. The first round was 40 tables, mostly full ring. Not every table had the same number of players. The second round was 10 four-handed tables.
But you noticed something weird. They had all the chips were different. So the first final tables were either 9 or 10-handed, and people were ending with like 100.
I couldn't figure out why. They must have blinded some people off at some point because, if you start with 15,000 chips and one table has 9 and the other has 10, the guy who won a 10-handed table is going to have 15,000 more chips. The guy who had an 800 table or 8-handed table is going to have 15,000 less chips than the guy who had a 9-handed table. I understand that. I'm not a moron. But these guys were finishing their first table with 117,400 chips, and then the next guy would have 120,800 chips. Yeah. And I was trying to figure it out. So some guys, for late reg, they must have been blinding them down and then starting them with a stack of only 8,500. But instead of that money being blinded into the middle, it just got taken off the stack and put into the tray. That has to have been what happened. So then they get down to 40. So the second round is 10 4-max tables, and then the final round is 10-handed with, of course, pay jumps for every spot eliminated, which means it's not really a shootout, but we've been through that before. Yes. Many players were prevented from registering for the event. They had a hard cutoff for the start time. Christian Harder was among those who said he busted the 5K and was in the line to register for the shootout, and they said as long as you're in the line, you'll get in, and apparently he did not get in. So there was some frustration there. The field for this event could have been larger than it was. Nick Petrangelo was your shootout winner. He beat Jason Less, heads up for the bracelet. Both Petrangelo and Less having excellent years. Petrangelo up over 1 million in scores. He's had a bunch of results at PCA and Malta and even Niagara Falls here in Canada.
Lost in the first round of the playoffs, though. That wasn't
different. Peter Angelo. Yes, that's Alex.
Okay.
And then Jason Less, of course, who along with the aforementioned Doug Polk, of course, both in the news of late as part of the team that beat the bot, the poker bot.
Clodico, They took Clodico for 700,000.
And he finished second. So, man, Jason Less having a hell of a year as well.
So it's almost kind of a statistical tie.
Yes, that's right. That's what happened.
The 25K Fantasy. I don't know if you watched it. Jason Somerville, Renko Remkema, they live streamed it as the whole thing was going down. They twitched it, and pretty entertaining as always. This time, 11 teams entered instead of 12. 88 players were drafted, and that's the 25K. But just as interesting, now what happens is they take whatever the prices that were established from the 25K draft, and they open it up to anybody who wants to enter their own team into a separate $500 pool where you can form your most powerful team using $200 and the prices that the 25K league established. It's
kind of like the Scoop. You got your low, medium, and high.
Correct.
I like it.
And this is becoming a huge hit. The first time they did it was last year. This year they've got over 150 entries, including a couple of entries that you and Terrence and Ross and even myself were allowed to get in on. We've got 2 Pokercast teams. What do you think of our teams?
I think they're pretty strong.
We got Bart. We got Bart for $1. He's gone deep in this Raz event. We got a shot there.
Well, the big one that
Mike Leah was the great pick. You picked him, right?
Not mine. So Terrence put one team in. His team was Mike Leah, Jesse Martin, Mike Watson, Sir Watts, of course. Last year's Breakthrough Player of the Year, Brandon Shack Harris,
Brandon Shack Harris,
Chris Klodnicki, Brian Rast, who always kills it at the World Series, Ben Yu, and Bart Hansen. So that's our first team. If anybody wants to sweat along at home and have a little fun following our teams. And Mike Leah, because he finished in the top 40 of the Colossus, because of the field size multiplier, he got over 100 points, and he finished about 35th.
Imagine if he banks that thing.
Unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
The second team, Scott Clements, John Minetti, Nick Shulman, Phil Ivey, Eric Seidel, Jason Kuhn, and Tom Schneider, who had 2 bracelets last year.
You still going with Minetti?
Minette.
I think it's, I don't know. I really don't know, to be honest with you.
Ivy's yet to be seen this year.
Ivy is not only yet, well, he's been seen. He's just been seen in Macau.
I'm a little worried about that.
Yeah, so he's in Macau with Tom Dwan and Johnny Chan, and they're the big ambassadors for opening of a new casino or a poker room. And and Ivy has
Those
announced...
are three guys that aren't going to be great at PR. Right?
Yes.
I mean, Johnny Chan, who is terrible. I mean,
we've seen it with our own eyes.
Terrible at PR. Tom doesn't ever say a word. He's not going to be any good at PR. And Phil's the best just because of his aura, but he just stands there and doesn't.
Johnny's the best because he actually speaks some Chinese languages. But,
that's true. Yeah, for that part of the world.
For that,
but if you're picking three ambassadors. Those aren't really the three. That's not your. They're
first big names, that's for sure. So the last report that came from Dan Fleischman said that Phil Ivey does not plan to make an appearance at the World Series until the 15th of June, which is the halfway mark. Basically, he will be missing upwards of 30 or more events. And there's no multi-million-dollar bracelet bets, but Phil Ivey has on more than one occasion said that he does intend and to put the effort in and fully has interest in being the winningest bracelet holder of all time. And I'm starting to question his passion for that these days.
He's a young man.
But you know what I'm saying? It's, I think having to sit through 14, 15, 16 hours to make the money and min cash in a $1K or a $1,500 event, all to try and catch Phil Hellmuth in bracelets, may not be as sexy for him as it once was, particularly if there aren't $2 million in side bets, which just aren't happening anymore in the post-full tilt era. So do you think that, and the only time we ever saw Tom Dwan play a full schedule at the World Series was when he had huge bracelet bets as well. So, and Johnny Chan, he's got 9-10 bracelets also. He's got 10, I think, and he's not there either. Is there, for a lot of players, winning bracelets doesn't seem to be the very top of the priority list.
I think that has to tell you how big the money is over there in Macau and how big those games and how great of a spot it is for him financially to be over there to miss all this. Because like you said, he's used to being here, taking runs at bracelets, having huge bets going on the side, being with his friends. I think it's got to be really, really good over there for him to stay, especially this time of year. Every poker player wants to be in Vegas right now.
Yeah, and he'll be back for
he'll
play the one drop. He'll probably play that $500K at the Aria, the Super
Players
Bowl thing.
Championship.
He'll play the $50K Players. He'll play the $25K Omaha. He'll play the main. So he'll be back for all of those. But as far as grinding 65 events just to try and catch Phil Hellmuth in bracelets, I think that's down the priority list. I
agree.
Bit more.
I think he's got it real good over there, and doesn't have a lot of side bets or motivation really to be here. Of course he wants to be the winningest poker player in World Series of Poker history, but he's got a long time. He's not getting old by any stretch, and his game is sharp. So I don't think he's in a giant hurry to get back.
Scott Clements, by the way, who was on our second team, obviously is bubbling every event because we took him as a big part of our budget. Poor Scott Clements. If he's wondering why he's stone bubbled two tournaments, it's because of us. The karma's long gone. I'll tell you one gentleman that has found a way to add a little bit of extra action to the proceedings this summer is Stinger. Brian Hastings. Did you see him?
No.
Okay, Brian Hastings is involved in the 25K fantasy.
Yeah.
So he puts a team into that, and then he during the opening event, the 5K, he puts out an offer for 5K, 10K, up to 10K for any player head to head. Based on the 25K fantasy points system, not the GPI point system for the player of the year, but based on the 25K fantasy point system, that he will get more points than that player. And he's taking...
Everybody? You can bet anybody?
And people could bet on somebody else. So if Scott Clements wanted to bet on Scott Clements, he would take himself against Scott Clements for up to $10,000. If Scott Clements chimed in and says, "I'd like to bet on Brian Rast and John Manette and Daniel Negreanu," and put $5K on each of them, he would take ad action as well.
Wow.
So you could bet against him for your own summer,
and then
or even for somebody else's summer.
Wow,
and he was taking booked. Wow. So he's found a way, if there aren't $1 million bracelet bets to be had, to still incentivize himself based on not just one event going well, but the entire summer going well. So
that's ballsy.
It is very much so. I couldn't believe that he did that. So it's it's a $25K Player of the Year points, and he has bets with all sorts of guys.
That's nuts.
Very, very crazy. We have, speaking of history in the making, another bit of history that has just gone down in the last few minutes. The first of the 10K championship events is the deuce to 7 triple draw. Only 109 entrants, down a little bit from last year when Tuan Lee took it down, and Tuan Lee has once again taken it down. The first time since 2009 that a player has successfully defended their bracelet at the World Series of Poker. It's been 6 years in between somebody winning back-to-back bracelets at the World Series.
I remember that guy. He's an 08 guy.
Happened.
He went second, first.
Yeah. Thang Lu was his name, and I believe he still has a lifetime Caesars ban for assaulting a dealer.
Smashed a dealer's hand on a table.
He got upset, and he freaked out on a dealer, and he physically assaulted him, and I don't think he's played in a World Series event in the last 5 or 6 years. So Tuan Lee is your most recent, and it doesn't happen very often, defending champion of a bracelet. So obviously, the chances of defending in a tournament with a smaller field like that in the 10K deuce to 7, but it's also tougher because you're
playing better players.
These are all top guys.
And you're playing deep, So Idema went second, first in the 10K limit hold'em.
That's correct.
He came close, but
and he should have. The year he came second, he actually had a commanding chip
down
lead
to one big blind. He was
just on fumes. That was probably the one he was should have won more than the others. So last year, Kalen McNeil nearly did it in the same 08 event. He won and then final tabled, but couldn't pull it off.
Big wheel. I think the rule is now it becomes the Tuan Lee Invitational.
Yes, forever.
That's it.
Yes,
that's his tournament now.
The Tuan Lee Trophy. Yeah, we have the Chip Reese Trophy, and now we're going to have the Tuan Lee Trophy. Phil Galfond, James Obst, Rep Porter, and Calvin Anderson also at that final table in the 10K deuce to 7. The Colossus wasn't the only new event in week 1 of the World Series of Poker. It was also the first ever World Series of Poker 1K Hyper event held on Sunday. They played they've had a turbo event before, which is 30-minute levels. These were 20-minute levels, and they were able to get down to the final table on day 1 in just 12 hours, and then the entire final table took under 2 hours to play out. And in the end, the champ was John Redding, who took home over $250,000 for less than 14 hours of work.
That's fantastic.
That's one day's poker.
I guarantee you, Harrah's love those tournaments, and the players love those tournaments.
For sure. Now we're talking.
Everybody loves those.
14 hours, quarter mil. I'm in for a 1K buy-in, and so that was pretty impressive. He beat Mark McDonnell of Ireland.
I love all these people saying that players want 2-hour levels and $1,500 buy-ins and 10 times stack. If you go to the World Series of Poker the day before they have the 10K main event, you have people putting up $1,000 single tables cutting for cards.
Yeah, not everybody's into that. But
I know, but I'm saying that a lot of people don't need 43-day tournaments. They just don't need them. They just look at this. Hyper's a perfect example.
Yeah. So now field sizes are down in many of the events all over the series, and it's not entirely due to the fact that everybody was playing in the Colossus tourney. There are changes to the structure this year. One of the changes is that in previous years you had 3 times your buy-in in chips. So 1,500 gave you 4,500 chips, and a 1K gave you 3,000. This year, they're giving you 5 times the stack. They've also added in the early going a 250-500 level for an additional hour.
It's Kessler level.
The Kessler level. And the reality is, and we've got, I think, enough events to safely declare that this is going to happen all summer. Players simply aren't busting fast enough.
Right.
You used to get into the money pretty early on day 2. If you made it to day 2 2, it was an accomplishment. Now it seems everybody's making it to day 2, or at least a good chunk of the field. And instead of getting into the money early on in day 2 and almost being guaranteed to be in the money if you make it through day 1, there are some events that are getting to the dinner break on day 2 and people still haven't cashed. So they're playing 12 hours on day 1. And then they're playing another 6 or 7 hours, 18 hours of poker, and they're not even in the money yet. And because people are lasting longer, because the chip stacks are deeper and there's an extra 1 hour level in there, it's affecting the entries into other tournaments. Because the earlier people bust out, the more likely they are to enter a second event, whether it's the morning event the following day or the evening event the same day. But the way these structures are right now, the entries are down not because people don't want to play in the tournaments. It's because they're still alive in the other tournament because they're not besting out fast enough.
So prize pools in the end don't end up being as big as they could be.
And the rake isn't as high as what Caesars needs it to be. So these higher and deeper tournaments, while some people might like having more play, I'm not sure that most of the pros like it. They would rather build a stack early, have it shallow in the early going, and then more play at the end. I think that's pretty much accepted. So I'm a little confused on
adding a new level,
and adding the chips. How much groundswell was there for them to make this change? And when they were announced,
nice to be on your show again.
That's our Kessler drop.
I love it. So Kessler is obviously loving it. He thinks it's the greatest thing. In fact, he's upset that they didn't 5X the 10K. So now he's saying, oh, well, now the 10Ks are the worst value at the entire World Series of Poker because you only get 30,000 chips. You should get 50,000 chips.
Meanwhile, there's still great value. You can't play in every tournament now.
Oh, for sure. So I just don't know.
I don't like it.
Why the organizers felt that there was this huge demand for this.
Yeah, and even if there was, I bet you if you talk to a lot of those people right now, they'd switch it back. You hit the nail on the head. People aren't busting out. The prize pools for the terms, the total entries are down, and guys are playing four days to win 10 times their buy-in.
Yeah, because these people want to have a chance to win a poker tournament. They don't if you're there all summer.
And you go deep.
Yeah, you want to bust out so you can play the next tournament. You want to bust out so you can have the day off.
You can either have chips or bust out.
You want to bust out. I'll go play golf. I'll go to the pool. I'll go for a nice dinner. I'll enter the next tournament. I'll do something.
Yeah.
But the last thing I want to do is sit here for hours upon hours upon hours playing low blind tournament poker and then bubbling the money a day and a half later.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You feel like you've completely wasted your time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's frustrating, and I think we're going to hear more and more of this. And most of the tournaments in the past few years were done on day 3. Last year, there was a few tournaments that creeped into day 4 if the heads up was long.
Right.
We are now seeing some tournaments that are going into day 4 with 40 and 50 people still alive in the event. I just don't know that I don't know if they can they change the structure midway through the series. I don't think that they can. But there's been some tweets. Bart Hansen, I'm all for good structures, but damn, we are on the bubble at dinner on day 2 of this 1508. 16 levels in. Hashtag Kessler unapproved. Yeah. So. And Bart's a guy who thinks things through, and there's all sorts of different people who are echoing those sentiments for sure.
I noticed in event number 8 that the spawn of Yuri Gully was going deep in that tournament. That's the pot limit hold'em.
Yeah, it's like the sequel to a horror film.
It's like it's the Omen. Remember that? Remember that series?
Yes. It's Child of Chucky or something like that. So apparently Yuri Gully has a kid named Andre Gully. It has to be his kid, right?
Yeah, it's his kid. There's only, come on, how many Ghoulies with 2 Y's?
I've never heard the name
world?
Gully before with two Y's. And I'm looking with 30 people left in the 1,500 pot limit hold'em, and there's Andre Gully sitting in 11th place. So another generation of Ghoulies to haunt me.
I think Chili Dog has to make you another set of golf balls.
Well, they'll still
Andre
be
on there.
Still be Ghoulie balls, but I'm drawing. I'm going down next week. I'm going to play some tournaments. I absolutely guarantee you, I get Andre Ghoulie at my table.
I'm sure you will.
On my left and Yuri on my right. Yes, for sure. So a bunch of other tournaments we mentioned were underway. What do you think of this? 462 people in the Razament this year. Last year it was 350. That's a huge increase.
Well, there it is. That's the $1,500 event after the Colossus, right? That people can jump in. 110 more entries than last year. I didn't look where last year's was situated, but that's for a Razament. That's incredible.
They've allowed for the 4 p.m. The late tournament started earlier this year, 4 p.m. instead of 5 p.m.
Yeah.
But they allow late registration until the start of the 9th level.
Midnight.
You could literally stroll in at 12:30 in the morning and register for and sit down in a World Series of Poker event. And I mean, that's got to be a contributing factor in these people, especially if they don't want to play for that much because they think that it's too deep. A lot of people, I think, in these 4 p.m.s, they're going to wait till 11 o'clock to register.
Yeah, well, look at Terrence. He's limit hold'em, and he's starting deep.
He'd
be like, hey, honey, what do you want to do tonight? Well, let's go for dinner at 8.
Jersey boys.
We'll go see a show, maybe go to the club, and then I'll go play in a World Series of Poker event.
I'll go late. What do you got on? Yeah. It's like go to the late movie, and it's like 10:40, and the only thing left is the Pauly Shore movie.
You go.
Well, what is it? Well, it's Raz.
Right.
I'll take it.
Sure.
I'm in.
I can sign up at 12:30. No
All
problem.
right. At last report, James Woods, who also cashed in the Hyper event, was right in the thick of things in the Raz as well. He is one of the early stories of the series. He's cutting through these fields with the machete. Event number 10, the 10K Heads Up, a marquee event, drew 143 entries. It's a who's who of heads up specialists, and many of them from the online world. And well underway. Doug Polk beat our upcoming guest, LuckyChewy.
That's a tough draw for Chewy. First round to get Doug Polk.
Yeah. Not good.
No, that's not good.
And the defending champ from last year, Davide Soriano, lost in the first round. And the last event underway is the event number 11, the 1,500 limit.
But Chewy did beat Doug in the 21K heads up on during Scoop.
There you go.
Oh, that's right.
Perfect.
Yeah. So it's 1 for 1.
Yes. 1 and 1.
Yeah.
Rematch necessary.
So there's always stuff going on away from the actual tables at the Rio. Did you hear that they've got canine dog units roaming around the Rio this year, sniffing around?
Drugs?
Yeah, bombs, drugs.
Yeah.
All sorts of stuff. I don't know.
More bombs than bombs.
There's a lot more bombs.
But yeah, roaming the halls. They've got the canine dog units. All American Dave, you mentioned, is back. He's back
Dave.
again.
Dave's the best.
So I follow a ton of poker players at World Series Time on Twitter, and the feed comes in, and of course, if you follow All-American Dave and you also follow the poker player,
the tweets,
then you get the orders. And it's kind of weird seeing what everybody eats.
Wait, you had that yesterday. You can't have it again.
It's so weird. It's like, dude, mix it up, bud. I mean, I don't know much about poker, but if there's one thing I know about the World Series of Poker, Jake Cody loves salmon.
He's a salmonaholic.
He's a salmon guy.
Yeah.
So it's weird to go, into the Rio and you see the guy that just tweeted it, and a couple hours later it's
you just walk up.
How's the chicken?
How is the salmon?
What are you talking about?
Who are you?
Yes, I know you had the chicken. Dave Tuckman's back on the live stream along with a cast of thousands. It's great programming. I thought it was terrific, and the live reporting, chip counts, and actual reports have been moved in-house.
Yes.
Poker News.
No longer. No, they wanted more money from the World Series of Poker. That's why
Poker News wanted more money.
Yeah, Poker News wanted more money to do it, and the World Series said no, that's not happening.
Okay.
We'll do it ourselves.
So what if they go? Who's doing it then? Because Poker News has all the expert chip count. I mean, this is a skill.
They're all freelance. So what happened was the World Series just said, okay, all the freelancers who freelanced last year
for Poker News.
But the problem is you're not going to get the key people. You're going to get the freelancers and stuff. Yeah. So that's the issue, I think, and the reporting is dreadful. And
it's early, but
there's no updates for 6 hours. I mean, it's very, very difficult for the World Series of Poker to be able to do it. Chip counts aren't the easiest thing in the world to do. You need to have experience. You need to know what you're doing to organize those things.
Well, and there's 7 or 8 different tournaments going on at one time. They probably got a staff of about a dozen people, and so you get about 2 people for each tournament, maybe 3 if it's a huge one. Some of these tournaments have hundreds of tables in them, and the chip counts, literally the minute you count it, go to your computer and do it. And standing there with a tablet in one hand, trying to count chips and go back, it's easier said than done. And by the time you do it, you're out of date.
This is 2015. There's got to be a way to do this.
RFID.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big investment for the World Series. But if they're going to keep it in-house and do it, then look, this is the big problem. We talk about poker being a sport and something that people follow. It's impossible to follow in real time right now.
You cannot be a spectator of the World Series of Poker. You can't be a fan of the World Series of Poker and have the product delivered to you the way you are used to with other sports that you watch, which have 4 million stats coming at you in real time, instantaneously.
We can't get the most basic stat in poker. How are you going to build a crew of people following the game or a subset of people following the game if you can't even give them the most basic stuff?
It's a real problem if people are serious about poker being a spectator sport. If you say, you know what, it's a player sport, we admit it, we'll give you some updates. Don't expect them to be accurate. Certainly don't expect them to be current, and don't expect us to cover people other than the biggest household names. If you want all that kind of stuff, you're out of luck. But if they do want people to follow it as if it's a spectator sport, like if anybody is going on WSOP.com right now to follow these tournaments, they'll be insanely disappointed.
So I talked to my mom before. My mom's a poker fan because my brother does quite well. He's at the World Series. My mom is nonstop following Dan. And she's like, what's going on with the updates? It's funny. She goes, what's going on with the updates? I said, they're terrible. She goes, I can't follow Dan at all. They don't ever update him. I don't know how to figure this out. I've got my friend looking. She can't figure it out. She goes, I would pay $20 to have somebody having chip counts for the whole summer.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting thing. Like, could you get 2,000-3,000 people to pay $20 to make that a business idea? I don't know, but even my mom's like, this is terrible.
Oh yeah, I mean, they've got a number of players remaining is either the same number that they started the day with. Yeah. There's 195 people left, but they only list chip counts of about 40 players. 3 or 4 players will have their stacks updated every 15 minutes, and the other players will still have the same chip count that they had from the start of the day, and it hasn't been updated. Names will all of a sudden disappear off the board, and you don't know if that means that they just vanished or whether or not they busted or where they are. Again, luckily with Twitter, if you do have a player that you're really interested in, you can follow them on Twitter, and for the most part, they'll either tell you if they're busted out or if things are going well. But they're for the most part, they're not going to give you chip updates every 5 or 10 minutes. But
which means I have to explain Twitter to my mom now.
Exactly. So Poker News, they received a lot of criticism over the recent years in which they were doing it.
I apologize for everything bad I said.
Absolutely. It's been rough so far.
Yeah,
it has been rough so far, for sure. What do you think about the presence of DraftKings in both 2 areas? Number one, I think for the first time ever, there's an actual a World Series of Poker tournament that has a sponsor.
Other than the one drop, but that's charity.
Yeah.
So you can't really count that, but
But there's a sponsor, the DraftKings, the new 50-50 event that's going to be happening later in the summer. And then they've got a huge lounge in the pavilion as well. Right. I mean, Daily Fantasy Sports and Poker obviously has a similar demographic, but the investment that they're making and the push that they're going for with the World Series, they were involved last year, but they're really involved this year.
It's interesting. Like I think we mentioned it before. DraftKings spends more on marketing than the entire industry makes. I mean, that's how much the CPA. They're trying to acquire players, and they're spending and spending and spending and spending, and it's their, FanDuel and them are trying to outspend each other. It's an incredible race and crazy to watch, because you just know that this industry has issues. It has problems. Daily fantasy sports is not the same as poker. Joe Tall came on this program, co-hosted, and he made the best point, and he said, daily fantasy has a velocity problem. It's not like poker when you deposit $500 into account and you're constantly playing hands, churning rake and churning and rake and churning and rake. Well, when you deposit $500 into daily fantasy, you put $200 in a tournament that takes an entire day to play, and they rake at this small amount. They can't turn the money over enough to have the same results. So, modeling daily fantasy in the same way that you model poker and saying these are similar industries and they're going to make similar amounts of money, they're just not.
Yeah, I guess the way they're trying to accomplish it is by multiple entries, having people putting 10, 15, 20 entries into the same event. But yeah, it's not like a guy who can 20 table and you're making rake 20 times the same player at the same time for 20 different events. I mean, there's not that many games. Yeah. There's not that many things happening, and games take 4 hours to play, and if you're playing a series of games for an entire day, it could take 8 or 9 hours.
And here's one thing that's always bothered me, and it's but was pointed out by a friend of mine, and he made a great point, and he said playing daily fantasy sports is really dangerous, because you have the sites have access to information that is so valuable. It's as valuable as knowing the hole cards, having a super user, like we had in Ultimate Bet. Because what happens when these big field games where there's a lot of, remember, there's head up and big field events that you can play in daily fantasy. If you're playing in a big, where I can't remember the term they use, but a big field event where everybody can enter, you all put in teams, the players on the menu that aren't selected, or the least selected players, become the most valuable, because
it's a unique entry.
It's a unique entry. If that person does well, you zoom past everybody else. Well, they have that information in real time. Right. And until there's some discussion about how secure that information is, who has access to it, it's dangerous that it's out there. And I don't think that really topic has ever been addressed.
It's not to mention the possibility of somebody slipping an entry into the field, when some of the games have already been done.
Well, you would hope that doesn't happen. But
I remember I used to go in these Survivor football leagues, and there was a total scandal at one of the pubs that used to put these on, where the guy who was running the pool, he would just put his team in, and he would rig it so that his picks would take place after the games were already finished. And they found ways to tie up those loopholes, but there are ways when you're running these leagues to rig it so that you're
I'm not suggesting that's happening by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think it is, but as long as that possibility is out there, it's too easy, and I don't know that anybody's ever addressed that.
Growing number of these staking websites that are brokering transactions, and they're really making a push for awareness now that the World Series of Poker is underway. And so basically for a price, people who want to sweat can buy a piece, and players who are looking to get backed can sell a piece. Ustake.com just launched this week. Tasty Stakes is another one. And, they're trying to create a business model here, where they safely finance or securely finance, if they will, a staking program, and they take anywhere from 3 to 8%. I don't know how they determine who they take 3% from and who they take 8% from on the piece that you buy. But this is a can of worms too, in terms of taxes and in terms of what if the player doesn't pay and all of those kind of things. This is a slippery slope, this idea.
I think, I haven't looked at their model, but I would bet that there's no action until both people have put the money up. I guess they've got no way if the guy banks. Yeah, you're right. I didn't think of this through. Okay, so people buying stakes would have to deposit in advance.
They put the money in.
Give the guy the money so he can buy in.
Assuming he actually enters.
Assuming he enters, how do you get the 100% positive that the guy pays?
Yeah, how are you 100% assured that when this guy cashes for $80,000
or $800,000,
that he's going to...
More likely, if he bigs for a big mount.
Yeah.
Right? So that
he's going to give you the 5%.
I don't know how that works. So I'd be afraid of that personally.
Yeah, it's interesting. So probably it'd be if it takes off, having somebody on to talk about that at some point would probably pretty interesting. So there you go. That's all kinds of World Series of Poker stuff.
That's the World Series stuff. Yeah, we got more stuff. That's not just it. We've got Bart Hansen. Or no, we don't have Bart Hansen. We had Bart Hansen in the first segment already. We have Matt Savage, who's going to talk some more about the tournament that we played in and some of the issues that are going on.
Some Aria stuff that
he is coming up on the Aria 500.
The next place to be this summer in Vegas. All kinds of stuff going on.
Why don't we bring him in right now? Matt Savage is going to talk a little bit about my fantastic golf game and also the WPT 500.
So all kinds of stuff going on over at the Aria. So give it to me straight. Give me a quick trip report on how Adam fit in with this. By the way, glowing report from a number of people, Matt, on how well run your golf junket was, to the point that you should actually organize competitive events for a living. You should consider doing this as your job.
Did you guys expect anything less?
I wasn't there.
Seriously.
But how did
anything less?
How did Adam fit in?
I think that the golf tournament itself is an amazing success. My golf play was not an amazing success. Adam, however, despite not having an actual handicap, did quite well.
I heard it's.
Hey, wait a second.
It's very difficult to go to a Pebble Beach golf trip and leave with more money than you spend. But somehow it sounds like he pulled that feat off.
Yeah, he did quite well. I don't know how, but he did quite well.
Fantastic tournament, Matt. I can't thank you guys enough. Had a ton of fun. I'm looking forward to hopefully getting invited back for the 21st Matt Savage Invitational. Where's that puppy going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, didn't play well at all. But, a lot of players that came in, I think it was handicapped very well. With golf, it's often up to whoever's doing the handicaps to decide who wins.
Where's the next year's tournament, and am I invited back?
You're definitely invited back. I believe that we're probably going to do Vegas next year, which is the first time in 21 years we're going to do Vegas. I played Shadow Creek today, and if we can get Shadow Creek for the final round and the scramble, I think that would put us over the top and make it definitely happen here.
That would be. It'd be incredible. Let's get on to some poker discussion. We've got a lot going on, Matt.
Wait. Before we get to the poker discussion, I want to hear that story about how you ended up yelling at the caddy at Pebble Beach and almost a fist fight happened. Tell us about that.
All right, so here's what happens. We go out to Pebble Beach, and at Pebble Beach you get a caddy. Mike, you know what it's like to get a caddy, right? It's great.
I was at Bandon Dunes in March, and I had a caddy for 6 rounds. It was fantastic,
right? So
they're like family. Apparently not as much, at least in my situation.
You're still in contact with your caddy? Oh, that's nice. Okay, so we get to the first hole. The first hole at Pebble Beach, the green faces you. It's very small greens at Pebble, and the first green is very, very steep. And I'm on the front right of the green. The pin is in the middle, and the caddy comes down. He reads my putt. He says it's going to go right, which would mean up the hill.
Left to right.
Yeah, I said there's no way that this ball breaks up the hill. He said
Always
it does.
Breaks to the water.
Breaks the ocean. He says breaks the ocean.
Of course.
I said it does not. There's no chance that this ball goes right. It was about 40 feet. I hit it about a foot outside the right. It rolled into the cup, turned left. And I looked at the guy. I gave him my putter. I said, I'll be reading the greens from the rest of the day. Don't worry about it. I'm good. Yeah. I don't need you reading my greens. This guy clearly had no idea how to read a green.
Okay.
So, but I'm nice. I said it in a nice way. I said, don't worry about reading greens. Like, I'll just do that myself or whatever. Right? I wasn't a dick or anything. And I tipped the guy $100. I tipped the guy $100 after the round.
The first hole?
No. After the round.
Okay.
Well, we played our round. I read my own putts.
Which, by the way, for Canadians, a big deal.
Right. See, that's the point. The caddy only cost $80. I gave him a $100 tip. It's a Pebble. I did fine. I had fun. The next day, the caddy is with a buddy of mine, or a guy I had talked to. It was Brian Goodham, right? He was with Brian at Spyglass. And
same caddy.
Same caddy gets
different course.
Different course. And Brian comes in after the round. He goes, "You're not going to believe this." I said, "What happened?" He goes, "I had Steve, the caddy from yesterday." He asked Steve, "Do you know this guy named Adam from Canada?" And Steve goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "The guy's a total asshole. He told me don't ever read my putts again. He asked my other caddy to read putts. He's just a total dick." And Brent's like, "Wow, really?"
Wait a minute. You said don't bother reading my putts. I'll be okay, and then started asking the other caddies for help?
No, I didn't. I didn't ask any other caddies.
Oh, okay.
I read my own
He made
putts.
that part
He
up.
made that part up. And he called me a total asshole. I'm like, what the hell? I gave the guy a $100 tip, and he's calling me an asshole. Like,
if you give the guy $180 to walk a beautiful golf course for 5 hours, you should be allowed to say pretty much anything you want.
That wasn't
to the
me.
guy.
So not only, apparently I have a history of these caddies. So what happens is on Spyglass, we get a caddy too. So I get this caddy, and he's great. He's a nice guy, whatever. On the 17th green, again, it's like this. The guy goes, "It moves 4 feet right." I said, "No, it doesn't. It doesn't move 4 feet right." He goes, "Yeah, I'm telling you, it breaks the top." It's dead down the hill. I hit it. It went dead straight. I got down, but I hit it hard, and I hit it, but there was no break at all. Like, I hit it through the break, but wasn't that much.
You're right. Everybody else is wrong.
Okay. So the guy goes, I go, "See, I told you it didn't move that much," because my partner actually had a putt from the same spot. I go, "It doesn't move that much. It doesn't move as much as you think." The caddy goes, "Bullets don't break." Like, really mean. Like, I hit it through the break.
Yeah, and you're paying the guy.
And I'm like, "What?" I'm paying this guy. And he's giving me so now I'm on stone raving tilt on the 18th tee. I'm like, I can't believe this guy just did that. I snap it out of bounds. I'm furious. But after that putt, I said, he goes, "Bullets don't break." I throw on the ball. I go, "Okay, show me. You go up there and hit whatever you putt you want."
That was a pretty good line.
There's no way it turns right. So I throw on the ball. He putts it down really slowly, whole speed, and it runs dead straight. I go, "See, I told you. How many more times would you like to do it to prove me right?" I was just like fighting with these caddies.
So you're making friends as always.
I know. It was ridiculous.
Wow.
Oh, my God. That was crazy.
So
Canadians, that's all I can say is Canadians.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on, because they probably, while you're out on Shadow Creek, they could use you over at the Aria right now to handle a couple of sticky situations. We haven't even mentioned on the show yet what happened, but during the first of two single-day 25K high roller events at the Aria, the first event on Friday, a recreational player that purchased a seat in a $125 buy-in was accidentally given a seat card for the $25,000 high roller, and rather than report the error and ask for the proper seat assignment, he decided that he would try to play in the event. Not only did he play in the event, he lasted for several hours, busting out the likes of Jason Mercier, Tom Marchese, Jake Schindler, and building himself a nice, healthy stack, only to get a tap on the shoulder when the cage was trying to reconcile the prize pool with the number of entrants, and the math wasn't adding up, and they realized the mistake had taken place and decided to 86 him from the tournament, and remove his chips from play, and carry on without this guy not refunding his $125 entry for the daily tournament.
But the best part of this story is this is a first-hand account of what happened. They came in, whispered to him, and backed away, the security. So he stood up, started walking towards the exit, got to the door, and started high-stepping it. He just sprints
at this point,
as he can.
Yeah, the whole possibility of playing dumb, like you didn't know you were playing in the wrong tournament, that kind of goes out the window when you try and sprint away as fast as you can.
Because he could just say, "Look, they gave me this ticket, I sat down. I don't know, it's $25K.
It's definitely a sticky situation. I didn't envy the guys at Aria to make that decision, but I do have to say that I think they did the right thing. You know, those guys had the right to win money against that player well. So I do think that they not only did the right decision, but I think that the players that got busted out handled it in the right way as well. Even Marchese ended up saying that, the decision that they did make was fine, and I think that they did a good job with it. I mean, it's obviously for home. It's not a good situation, but I do think that what they did was, at least fair for all parties.
From various reports, the players that did get eliminated by the guy were given some pretty generous comps from Aria.
Couple thousand.
Yeah, in the range of $3,000 to $5,000. I don't know the exact details on it, but they seem to be satisfied with how it all resolved. I'm sure you've had a tournament before, Matt, where a player's been given a seat card for a wrong event, but $125 buy-in getting a seat for a $25K event. This has got to be an all-time first.
Yeah, it's for sure. And, the thing is with that is, like, with the Bravo system that, a lot of the big casinos are using, you have to flip back and forth between the events. So I could see how this could happen for sure. We've had it happen, where somebody signs up for a $300, PLO tournament when it should be, a $300 no-limit tournament or a $500 no-limit tournament. It happens, from time to time, and we've seen it. Generally the person sits down and says, hey, I got 4 cards. What tournament is this? And so we just corrected that time. But, with this one, for the guy to actually sit down, know what he was doing and go forward with that is pretty amazing. And, they did pay him the $125 back. So I think that the whole situation's cleared up.
I didn't know they paid him the $125
back. Down the street.
Matt Salzberg said he was going to register for the WPT 500 in hopes of getting a seat for the Super High Roller Bowl.
Exactly, that might happen. It happened in a couple days later, but they figured it out. I think they've got that system down now. And unfortunately, for the person that did that, I think that they're going to be suspended for it or whatever. But it's unfortunate. It could have happened. Basically anyhow. But there's the fact that the person actually did sit down and play for 7 hours makes it a little bit less. I guess good for the event. You know what I mean? Easy
86 there. Matt, you got to have some great stories of people getting 86 for stuff like that. Is there any off the top of your head that are particularly amusing?
Not so much. I mean, that one for sure. The guy getting 86 from the casino for doing that that's pretty much the best story I've ever heard.
Not much better than that,
That is pretty good. Apparently, and everybody said he was actually a pretty decent player too.
Oh, really?
He held his own.
He just knitted it up. Yeah.
No, he played decent. So the WPT 500 is underway. It's a very unique event, unusual in that not only are there 10 starting flights, but they stretch out over the course of over a 5-week period before you end up day 2 sometime in early July. And, this is a re-entry event where you get to choose your best stack.
Stack forward.
Yeah, best stack forward. And you can, you can keep your stack and try and outdo it by entering future flights. And, as you know, there's been some comments as to the possible concerns, whether it's collusion or whether it's chip dumping to your buddy or any number of things that could possibly happen. Have you crossed all your T's and dotted your I's on this thing to make sure those types of things cannot occur?
Of course. Let's be clear. This is just one person that's making all these statements. It's not anybody else. And, the fact is that, there are multiple ways to do things like these nefarious ways to cheat in the poker tournaments. And, unfortunately, I don't want to draw attention to those because, we as poker tournament directors and people that run these events want to try and protect ourselves. And, we have cameras and things like that will do that. And so the fact that, this kind of situation has never come up to this point and, there's a strong voice of people that actually like the best stack forward as well. We, want to continue doing that. And like I said, it hasn't worked out to be a negative to this point. And through 3 days of the event, we're doing just fine. And, haven't had a single complaint from those that have actually played the event.
It's not the same concept as the Colossus. It's actually quite different, but it's similar buy-in, and it's a re-entry. And
you've done 3 days. Are you short any chips from the 3 days? Do you ever?
No, we're not short any chips.
Yeah, so
everything's working out just fine.
Good.
So, but what were your thoughts on the Colossus event? Certainly ambitious and record-setting, and very unique in its own right. You've got something similar going on. What did you think about how the Colossus unfolded? What give us your take?
Just massive. I mean, it's great for poker. Obviously, all these people coming in and so many new people cashing in a WSOP event. I just think it's amazing for poker, and they did a great job getting through 22,000 plus players. I just think that the WSOP should be applauded for all they've done to this point, and I'm just happy that the event went off as well as it has so far, and I hope it continues. I mean, I think it's great for poker. I think that they've done a great job getting it to this point, and good for them. I'm very happy for them.
Matt, there was some discussion about the prize pool, how it was broken down. Not releasing the percentage breakdown of first and how many people were going to get paid. What's your sort of take on a tournament releasing that info before the tournament starts?
To let players decide if they want to play.
Should it be something done before or after, sort of taking into account of all the players?
I just think that, when you have that many players and you have to pay a certain percentage of them, people don't realize that if you have a 100-player event, you're going to play close to 40% for first. If you have, a 1,000-player field, you're going to get somewhere down, around 20%. You have to keep going down in that scale. So, the fact that they only paid 5.8% or whatever it was, it has to be realized that that's what happens, And for them to pay 1,100, times whatever it is for first place, I think that's decent. Obviously, they could have guaranteed a place prize of $1 million with an $11 million prize pool, but I'm not going to fault them for just going by the scale. I don't think that they've done anything wrong by doing that. And, anybody that says they wouldn't have played for $630,000 for first for a $500 buy-in, I just don't believe that. I think that it's not going to cost them any players if they want to do the same thing next year. I think everybody's going to come and play again. I just think that, for them to pay that many new players, for these players to come up and say that they're going to, have a shot to cash at the World Series of Poker for just coming in the top 2,200 players, I think it's a great thing for poker. And, is it ideal? No. Is it, the world? No either. So I just think it's one of those things that a lot of people are unhappy about it, but at the same time, I don't think they've done anything wrong. There's just no way for first place to be more than the money that they raked because of, that many people being paid in the event. You just can't pay that high percentage for first.
Hey, Matt, this was a little different in that you could buy an actual seat assignment for all 4 flights at one time, but it wasn't keep your best stack. You had to decide at the end of the first flight whether you wanted to keep the stack or rescind it. The question I had is if the player keeps the stack and has pre-purchased a seat assignment for a future flight, how does the dealer know if that guy sits down at the future flight and hands in the ticket? He doesn't have a computer in front of him or anything like that. How does he know whether the guy's bagged a stack or hasn't bagged a stack?
Yeah, probably doesn't know, and that's something that would have to be found out later. So again, when you're running a field size of 22,000, a lot of those things are probably not ideal. And being able to know these things, I think that they did the best that they could for those, but just one of those things where when you have that many people playing in an event, it's pretty tough to regulate every single thing or every single facet of the event that could happen and every single scenario. So I don't know. I don't know how they would do that. I think that they probably have some kind of safeguard against that, but to that point, I just don't know how they did that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what would have happened is they hand in the dealer gets the dealer copy of the card. Somebody from the floor comes around, gathers them all up, puts them, because they have their player number in it, puts it into the computer, and if the guy's already bagged a stack, he could come back and maybe catch it within the first couple of hours or something like that. But to me, the way to avoid something like that is just if you have to choose to keep or rescind your stack, then they shouldn't allow you to purchase a seat assignment for another flight until you've made that decision of whether you want to keep or rescind the stack. Just don't let them pre-buy for all 4 flights.
I think if you do that, though, you run the risk of people not getting shut out of future heats, and I think that's an issue. I think it's one of the reasons why the best stack forward system works. I mean, if you got to the end of the day and you ended up with 5 big blinds, you would have to forfeit, or you would have to, make a decision on whether you're going to come back and do it again. And in a best stack forward, they could have done both, and they wouldn't have to worry about that. So it's just one of those things that I think that, when you're doing an event this size, it's not going to be perfect, and it's not going to be easy to run. So, you got to keep an eye on all those things. You just, think that players aren't going to cheat, and that's basically what it is.
Thanks so much, Matt. Really appreciate everything. And again, the golf tournament was a ton of fun. Thanks so much for organizing, and looking forward to Vegas next year.
You got it, my friend.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we've got LuckyChewy, Andrew Lichtenberger. We've got
Steve D still around?
Steve D. We're going to squeeze in there somewhere too. We got him lined up, and we're going to
some non-World Shows of Poker stuff.
Get some other stuff shoehorned into this thing.
Entourage comes out. Are you over Entourage, or are you still?
I'm looking forward to it.
You're going to go.
Somebody tweeted. I laughed. It was. I can't wait to not see Entourage. Got a good kick out of that.
The reviews haven't been great.
No,
but
they haven't.
No, but in terms of the story, they say they just try to resolve so many things in a short period of time. But in terms of the over-the-top, the lifestyle stuff, it delivers.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. All right, you're listening to 2+2 Pokercast, presented by the Pokerstars VIP Club. More right after this.
Hey guys, this is Bart Hansen for CrushLivePoker.com. Whether you're a recreational player who wants to compete at the tables, or you're a professional and you want to increase your win rate, the material that I've produced at CrushLivePoker.com will make you a better poker player. Act now and you can subscribe for free by using the coupon code TPC11. That's TPC for the Pokercast 11 and get your first month free.
Hey everyone, I'm Jen Shahadi.
And I'm Jamie Kerstetter.
And we're one half of the Grindettes.
Inviting you to join us in one of the newest and coolest forums on 2+2.
That's what she said. It's a poker forum where we discuss topics surrounding women in poker, but everyone is welcome.
Join us, especially if your name is Patrick Antonius.
That's what she said.
Hi guys, it's Mike from ProfessionalPoker.com and the 2+2 store with some great news for our PokerStars players. You can now use your frequent player points to purchase gift cards available from ProfessionalPoker.com. These same cards will also work at the 2+2 store. The gift cards come in increments of $25 and $50, and you can apply multiple gift cards per order. Now you can get the books, videos, and ebooks from all the major publishers using just your FPPs. So check out the gift card section of the PokerStars FPP store and pick up the poker training material you've had your eye on for a while at the 2+2 store and ProfessionalPoker.com.
500 Zoom 6 max, 370 big blinds deep. I open button with a min raise with queen eight of clubs. Greg Merson calls on the small. Flop comes deuce 4 queen with diamonds flush draw. He leads 1750 and I raise to 55. He 3-bets to 172 and I call. Turn is a brick, deuce of clubs, and he bets 2/3 of the pot. I call. River is a king of hearts, leaving the flush draws missed, and Greg overbets the pot big, betting 1,470 into $785 pot. I felt like he might be pushing me off my hand, so I called and was good against his 10-9 of diamond.
Team Pro Online's Mikhail Inasai-Shalamov is a Supernova Elite VIP. This is the 2+2 Pokercast, presented by the Pokerstars VIP Club.
back to the 2+2 Pokercast presented by the Pokerstars VIP Club. Again, pinch hitting for Mr. T. Chan is my old running pal, Mike Johnson. He's here in studio. Not in studio this week is the aforementioned Terrence Chan, who had a great fight, a lot of fun. We all went down and had a couple of cocktails and watched your fight. Terrence is in Vegas at the World Series of Poker. We bring him in now. T, congratulations on the win. It wasn't a knockout. You won in decision, unanimous, but it was a lot of fun that night.
Yeah, first of all, I just want to kind of ask how many people are going to skip over this segment, not because they dislike MMA, but because of how many times they're expecting to hear the hit him in the face drop.
The over-under is 2 or 3 for sure.
There was some good live hit him in the face drops.
Oh, that's interesting. Did you hear MJ yelling hit him in the face while you were in the ring? Were you listening for it?
Hit him in the face! Not during the fight, but definitely a couple times on the walkout, or not in the walkout, the music's loud, but sort of when the din before the event. But yeah, it was so awesome to have the PokerCast crowd, section F row 3 and 4. I'll still remember. I'll never forget that. You guys were right as I was walking out on my immediate right.
Sounds like a seating assignment at the Rio section.
That's right.
Section, you guys were in the Colossus, the battlefield Colossus.
Yeah.
Hit him in the face, of course, is the catchphrase we always love to shout out at your fights, but you absolutely buzzkilled us with a rule technicality where you weren't actually really allowed to hit the guy in the face. Something weird happened there, and we were hoping for face hitting, but we were only allowed to get partial face hitting. Take us through that, Terrence.
Yeah, that's correct. So there's a new in British Columbia. There's actually a new commission. There's a new athletic commission, and their whole thing is they want to throw out the old rule book and bring in their stuff and do stuff their way, which often happens in these sort of circumstances. So what happened? What you're describing now is a rule they've implemented where when either of the combatants has fewer than 3 fights, there is no striking to the head or hitting in the face. On the ground specifically, on feet anything goes, other than the knees and elbows. So I hit him in the face with punches while we were standing and kicks while we were standing, but once it went to the ground, I was not allowed to hit him in the face, which obviously really negates the advantage of the person on top. If you can't hit, because all you can do is basically just a grappling and a submission match down there. But of course, on the feet, it's still the same. So that was a bit disappointing. My original opponent had 4 fights, so we would have been able to have the full rules, I guess.
Did that change your strategy, knowing that because it seemed like you were on your feet more than in other fights? You were sort of anxious to get onto the mat where maybe you normally would have an advantage, but because it seemed like when you had the guy down, he would just kind of lie there, knowing that you couldn't pound on him, and so you were saying, "Okay, get back up on your feet," and of course we rebranded it, kick him in the face. But was there different strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a bit confusing because I'm used to, in practice, attacking with the ground and pound, as we call it. The standing up more, it was a conscious effort. I really did want to stand up more. I wanted to get a knockout for this particular one and really just be entertaining. And it threw me for a loop. Definitely a little bit. I didn't. I thought that was the best path to being able to finish the fight and have an exciting fight and a good finish was on the feet, because on the ground I'm so much more limited with, it's hard to just it's hard to submit people on the ground when you can't hit them. Actually, it's a lot easier to hit somebody and then they kind of give you an arm or give you a neck and then they do something dumb and then you submit them.
For those that haven't seen the fight, it is up on YouTube. We'll post the link to that fight. You can watch it and come into the show thread and have a look.
There's no audio out there right now, but I want to try to do a little commentary and ask a lot of these questions, or answer a lot of these questions that you guys or people in the forums have been asking.
Perfect.
I go to a ton of different sporting events, live sporting events, and I have to say, Terrence, whether it's hockey, whether it's football, any number of things, I have never seen a higher percentage of females in the audience at a sporting event than I saw at that BFL. It had to be 30% women there.
Huh. Wow, I didn't realize that. I mean, I'd been hit, so I wasn't paying attention. But yeah, I mean, I guess MMA is really pretty popular among female demographic. Obviously, you've got fighter girlfriends and stuff like that. But obviously, there's only 16 fighters, so they can't just be girlfriends. I don't have a good explanation for you, but I guess
there's a lot of alpha males in the crowd.
There are.
Yeah, maybe it's that, and they're bringing along dates and that kind of thing, and their buddies are fighting. Most of the audience comprised by people who know the fighters, like you guys, in one way or another. Very few people don't know anybody there, so I guess it's people who train with their gyms, and then people associated with that. But a lot of girls are really into MMA, so it's cool. It's good to see that.
You mentioned this was a replacement fighter. Your original fighter actually fought earlier than you. You were the third fight in. I believe he was in the first fight. I'm not sure if you got a chance to watch that fight. Were you unhappy not to be able to fight that? Do you kind of get an idea on who was better?
A little. Okay, so yeah, I would say yeah, because that guy ended up fighting a teammate of mine, Paul Kane. Paul is a guy who's 45 years old, by the way, and still doing this. Wow. And they were the first fight of the night, as you pointed out. And so I watched. That guy's a lot bigger than me. I took a guy who's much closer to my size. I don't know. I feel like I probably would have been able to beat that guy, but he probably would have gotten a couple takedowns on me. Size really helps when it comes to the wrestling and the takedown game. But I also felt like that guy was scared on the feet and didn't want to get hit at all, because when he didn't even make any attempt at throwing punches on the feet. He just sort of wanted to get the fight to the ground immediately, and I felt like he would have had a big disadvantage on the feet.
So this was your first fight after a pretty long hiatus between injury and a 9-to-5 job. What was this? Just sort of I want to see if I can do it, but I'm kind of past the fighting stage. Or now have you got the bug to get back into several more fights? Now you're not 45.
No, I'm not. I'm 35 in December. I love the sport. Listen, I don't think I can be an elite level guy and a world champion and stuff like that, because just time is not on my side. But I do love the sport. But the training is really hard. What you guys saw, and I'm not saying the fight wasn't hard. The fight was definitely hard. But the training camp is so much harder. Like you go through and you get beat by teammates for 8 weeks, fresh one every time. That's the part that makes the grind hard. But if I didn't have that, maybe I lose this fight. Maybe if I don't train that hard, I lose this fight, because the guy was good and the guy was close enough. Close enough to he was definitely in my league and hanging with me. So he was there all the way. So I have to go through those training camps if I want to continue doing it. So I think as long as my body can hold up, I'll still keep fighting.
As you know, one of my buddies, Ben, who calls himself a professional gambler, but I don't know if he really is anymore, set a line on this fight at even. And
based on the weigh-in.
Based on the weigh-in, and I guess he did a little research, I'm sure, into the substitute opponent. But he got crushed. You said you were happy that we all got even money.
Yeah, although it's weird. I watched the pay-per-view. Somebody captured it for me. The YouTube link you put up. The official odds were also even. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
I did see that, yeah.
You could see that on the... And then I looked at another fight, and some guy was like minus 230 or something like that. So that's sort of interesting. I don't really believe in using weigh-in pictures as a particularly good metric. We've all seen like the out of shape fat guy beat up the ripped.
We saw that. Hang on a second. We did see the out of shape fat guy in one of the later fights.
Man of the people.
Which
exactly.
I don't know if anybody caught this, but MJ, we're in the third row, and we've had a bunch of cocktails at this point. Fat guy gets into the ring, and he's got a muffin top or two, I think, on each side. This guy was not running a marathon anytime soon, and MJ yelled. He was screaming, "Let's go to New York fries." And I mean, it was quiet, and we're surrounded by people who could easily be his friends. I'm thinking, how is MJ getting out of here alive? And at one point, he did have a guy kind of look at him strangely, but that was interesting that guy, the big fat guy, ended up winning his fight.
I think it's really hard to judge how good somebody is at fighting by just simply by looking at them. It is a skill. It's any more than it is easy to judge whether somebody's good at tennis by just looking at them. Yeah, like a really athletic long guy is probably going to be better. But I think if you can't really get too much from weigh-in pictures, and I'd like to hear Ben's rationale, I guess, is what I'm saying.
In round 2, you Klitschko'd the guy. Is that your first time you've gone for the junk?
I didn't go for the jump. It makes it sound like It makes it sound like I wound up and tried to like punt a field goal with his testicles.
They did stop the fight. Yes.
You often hit people in sparring. It's accidental. It's an easy thing to do. I was trying to kick them in the legs again. So you can't kick a grounded opponent in the head. Even at the pro level, you're not allowed to kick people in the face when they're on their back. So you're kind of getting free rolled here because if I lean over, he can kick me in the face, he can kick me in the knees. Knockouts have happened that way. So all I can do is kind of lamely kick him in the legs, which is what I was trying to do. And I missed. I caught him in the junk. We don't have a hit him in the junk drop, do we?
No, kick him in the kick him in the junk is going to be added quickly. As a second or third tier show, as you like to call them, the production and the entire feel of the night, it really is very professional. Do you because of how dominant UFC is in the MMA market, do you think a lot of these second tier shows don't get the respect they should? Because it's a pretty fun night.
Well, that main event was a great fight. Yeah. That was fun to watch.
Oh yeah.
I think so. I love watching regional MMA, and it's usually it's like I said before, somebody. I in Vegas, the Tough Enough events are fantastic. They're, like you say, they're well run shows. They're also paced really fast. Like you don't have to. When you watch a UFC show, I don't know if any of you guys have been to a UFC show live, but there's like 20 minutes between these fights because they've got to cram sell pay-per-views and all this stuff. But as soon as they're finished mopping up the blood from one fight in these ones, they're better, and you get to see these guys. Like, 7 or 8 years ago, I went to an Indian reservation in North Vancouver and watched a show like in a barn, and I ended up seeing Sarah Kaufman, who ended up being like one of the 3 best women in the world. Like you never really know when you're going to end up seeing like the next big great prospect. Maybe you saw maybe Ash Mashregi or Dejan Kajic is going to end up in the UFC, and you'd be like, hey, I remember that night. I was there for that night. So I think it's really cool to kind of get in on the ground floor that way.
Well, don't they say it's great matchups make great fights, not great fighters, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Like guys that go in and want to. Yeah, it's exactly right. It's a style matchup, and sometimes you just get those two styles that were perfectly matched. And I think you talked about the main event, and that's a perfect example. I don't actually know how entertaining my fight was objectively. I mean, you guys said it was great, and other people said it was great, but I have no real recollection because all I remember was just this blur of all the stuff going on, and I was like, I don't know if that was a good fight, I don't know if that was a boring fight, I just know it was really hard. So hopefully people out there enjoyed it, I guess.
Yeah,
absolutely. And from flinging punches to flinging poo, are we going to late wrench the limit hold'em? What's going on?
That's an excellent segue. Yeah, that is an elite. That's why people miss you, Em.
Exactly, right there.
Yeah. So right now, as you're recording this, it's Tuesday night, so I'm a little bit the limit hold'em, but considering it's a 1500, like the first few levels, it's like 7,500 in chips, and I think they're playing, I'm not sure, like 100, 200. So it's like the equivalent of like 20-40. So I'm skipping the first few levels. I slept really late. I'm not good at the 4 p.m. tournaments because I tend to fall asleep early. So yeah, I will be in there shortly, I guess. Not long after this call, I'll probably just drive down to the Rio.
Good luck, sir. I hope you go deep in this event or one coming up shortly, and force us to get on a plane and come down and sweat a final table. That'd be a lot of fun.
Wouldn't be the first time, right? Wouldn't be the first time you jumped on a plane to sweat somebody.
It would not, indeed. Thanks,
you guys are the best. Thank you so much for coming out to the fight. The 3 of you guys, everybody out there in Pokercast land who supported. I really do appreciate, and I'm glad I was able to win one for you guys.
That was a lot of fun. Hopefully that's not the last one, and good luck in Vegas. We'll see you when we get down there.
All right, thanks, Adam, MJ, Ross.
There is MJ, Mr. 5-0. Is he 5-0?
He is 5-0. Yeah. Well, he had 3 Vancouver victories.
Yeah, one in Hong Kong
and one in Korea, I believe.
Was it Korea?
One. I think it was Korea.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's 5-0.
2 in Asia and 3 in Canada.
I wonder if he fights again.
I don't know. I mean, he's
undefeated. You hang it up when you're undefeated? I don't know.
It's tough. It's possible to hang it up when you're undefeated, but he's still relatively fit.
Yeah, he's the fittest person I've ever met.
Yes, so I think he's fine in that regard. I think from a stamina standpoint, a fitness standpoint, that which is such a huge part of it. I mean, I was tired watching the first minute.
Oh, God, I think it's the training that really gets to him. From talking to him, it's not the actual fight; it's the training.
You have to train in order to be able to last.
What the funniest moment of that night was?
What?
Was when the guy came out with the belt and you guys had a bet on the fight and MJ took the other side.
Okay, so that was good. Let me explain this. So MJ and I had a bet going. It was $100 and we each got to pick.
Speaking of training.
We alternated getting to pick. So because there's a bunch of fights, right? There was 2 before
About
Terrence.
a dozen fights.
There's like a dozen fights. So we did, okay, MJ goes first. He picks a guy. And, you wait till the guy, they introduce and give the record and you look at the guy, see, it's like picking a horse.
Yeah.
Right? It's like going to the Derby.
Yeah.
And one fight comes in and it's MJ's turn, and the guy comes in. He's got the belt. He's got the championship belt. This is a guy who's championship of his weight class in this fighting league. He pounces into the ring. His challenger comes up behind. I think, I for sure got the challenger. I mean, there's no way he's not going to pick. MJ goes right to the challenger, picks the challenger. And I'm like, okay, give me the champ, no problem.
And
the champ thumps him.
That was the one that ended. He went unconscious in 15 seconds.
It was. Yeah, he was out cold.
No, that was different. It was the Turkish guy and the guy who ran the marathon. And
that's
the
right.
funniest part at the end was he beats him and he's like, they're like, oh, you look like you had a lot of stamina. He's like, just ran a marathon last week. And Adam's like, he's like in tears. He's like, you ran a marathon.
You didn't pick him. You picked the guy who didn't run a marathon last week.
Didn't have that information.
That was great.
It was just like poker. It's an incomplete game.
That was a lot of fun. It was a good night. Hopefully we get a couple more of those with Terrence fighting again.
For sure.
More fun. We're going to go to talk to Steve D. Why don't we talk to the head cheese, one of the head cheeses over there that their Poker Stars, about some of the stuff that's going on this week.
Absolutely.
So let's bring in Mr. Steve Day and talk about...
I remember that guy.
You remember Steve, right?
I do remember him.
This is Akpla right here. Yeah, this man knows what he's doing. He is going to come talk to us about some PokerStars stuff. And
so we're going to talk about Peachy Murr, right?
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah. We're going to get right into
maybe not.
No,
Sorry.
that's last week.
These notes are from a couple of years ago, Steve.
Wrong
They were still in the studio from 2012. I apologize. Sorry.
Somebody should revisit that topic and go evaluate all the claims I made and all the claims other people made.
Oh, my God.
Evaluate them for truth. I would be very pleased if that was
You do okay in that one. All right.
Hey, we would do a forensic audit of the Peachy Murr tale.
Exactly. One thing we can talk about, Steve, this week, and that is an amazing signing. Well, this follows up on the signing of Neymar, the Brazilian soccer star, signing Cristiano Ronaldo to the PokerStars ambassador team. I mean, it's a stroke of genius as far as I'm concerned. He has 100 million followers on Facebook. I saw the video that he put up. The exposure you get with signing the world's most famous, one of the 2 most famous football players in the world. I mean, you can't. That's got to be the feather in the cap right there.
Sepp Blatter turned them down.
Sepp said no. Yeah.
Well, there was an alternative. I was going to get 100 million Facebook followers.
That was your mission?
But we decided we didn't want to go for the 40-year plan.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. He's a great ambassador. And by the way, quite an avid poker player for quite a long time.
Oh,
right?
he's been on Stars playing for a while, has he?
Well, I think there's stories of him playing back on full tilts a really long time ago at pretty high stakes, if you believe those. So he's been around. He's a really big poker player. So I don't know, really big, but he has an authentic love of the game.
Yeah.
So we're really happy to be able to associate with somebody who has so many fans who does like the game.
And the ability for a lot of his fans, non-poker players, I would imagine, who are going to convert and for the chance to play with him. I'm sure that you guys are going to put together some promotions to get his fans involved and maybe win a trip to play with him. I can't imagine how huge of a success that would be to bring in some new players to the game.
Yeah, I mean, there will be all kinds of opportunities, I think, that come out of this partnership, and that could be one of them for sure.
And Stars already has a relationship with the other Ronaldo.
Yeah,
that's right. They're on the same team. Finally,
anybody named Ronaldo,
Ronaldo and Ronaldo finally together.
Yeah.
How many name changes are going to come about from that?
A few.
Yeah, people are like, I just got to change my name to Ronaldo, sign the deal.
Yeah,
and there's Neymar as well, right?
Yeah.
So it's quite a football star-studded cast for our international audience, and we were kind of making jokes about who the five-a-side team would be for Pokerstars and whether our staff could take the players, and we think probably we couldn't take them at this point.
No, I don't.
We got a couple guys who are amongst the better players in the Isle of Man, but probably looking at who we'd be facing amongst the Team Pokerstars members, I don't think we'd quite do it. I think at this point we're outmatched.
I think you might have been, but not outmatched is matched. I should say the way that the Stars stepped up to the Nepal Relief Fund and the players. The call went out from Pokerstars to donate to, of course, the terrible earthquake that happened in Nepal, and the call went out for donations, and Stars stepped up to the plate, said we're going to match anything that people donate, and players and staff ended up donating $255,000 through Pokerstars, which is an amazing number if you think about it. That's just fantastic. And then Pokerstars, of course, matching it takes it well over $500,000, going to help some people rebuild their lives. A great story right there, Steve.
At first, I just want to take a moment to show some appreciation for that fantastic segue, Adam. That was amazing. Secondly, yes. You're showing off, right? Yeah. It is fantastic. Over $500,000 for a very worthwhile cause, and our company, of course, taking the opportunity. When such things have happened in the past, and we're proud to continue that tradition of joining customers and the poker community and giving back to help out such a worthy cause.
Yeah, great to see. You wanted to talk about the summer MTT leaderboard. What's happening with MTTs over the summer here at Stars?
Well, the monthly MTT leaderboard's got some nice prizes over June, July, and August. So there's a 100K leaderboard awards to be won. So if you're interested in the scheduled tournaments and considering putting some volume in, now's the time to start looking at that monthly leaderboard. If you go into the client, there's a new leaderboard app over in what we call the app bar on the right-hand side of the lobby, right below that somewhat newish challenges app. And so you can go to the leaderboards. There's a completely new way of displaying the leaderboards. And you can check your status there and see how people are doing in the weekly leaderboard, the yearly, and the summer MTT leaderboard. And look for that space for several new types of leaderboards to be coming in the next weeks and months.
Steve, lots of Team Pokerstars pros are in Vegas for the World Series of Poker, and one of them, Elke, is going to be doing a weekly Twitch program every Sunday morning. This week he had Eugene Kachaloff, his longtime buddy and travel partner, and they did a show on Sunday. So every Sunday from Vegas, Elke and friends will be doing a Twitch broadcast from the World Series of Poker. Should be lots of fun. Elke has been a great longtime ambassador for Stars, and he's doing it on the road.
Yeah, it's great that he's finding a way to create engaging content and still be involved with Twitch while he's in a locale where he can't play the online poker.
Exactly.
So that should be really interesting. He does other Twitches, of course, where he plays, and he did some stuff during SCOOP, I know. But this should be a good opportunity for people to see a little more behind the scenes, the personalities, and hear the thoughts from even more players as he does those interviews. It should be a lot of fun. I know he and Eugene have quite a history, don't they? They did some training together at some point, and
tons of prop bets.
Had a prop bet as well, right?
Indeed.
They had a race from San Remo to Monte Carlo one year at the grand final. I'm sure they've had some boxing matches and stuff. I know Elke's been involved in some of those, but those two have become good comrades, and nice to see them carrying it on at the series this year. The first episode was pretty cool. Elke and his mouse, and I think it's going right through the summer. It's going right through the.
Was this mouse alive, or was it a
no, it's got.
Device?
It looks like there's an electronic music star named Deadmau5, and the mouse that Elke uses, it looks like Dead Mouse, and he calls it the mouse, and he has it. It's his little character. It's his little sidekick.
Yeah,
Elke and the mouse.
Steve, I'm looking forward to talking to you next week. You signed Ronaldo last week, Neymar a few weeks back. I'm sure Messi is going to be up next. We'll break that one next week.
Okay, and did you guys did you get a chance to play any on the Stud and Draw Week promotion at all?
We did not.
I didn't hear Lee's segment last week. I'm on vacation. I don't know if you guys discussed it, but we had a lot of good uptake on that and good feedback from the customers, both on supporting some of the, I would say, less promoted forms of poker, right?
I played some triple draw today,
as well as some of the creative nature of the challenges to win a certain number of hands at an and things like that during a day. I was curious if you talked to anybody and had any thoughts on that.
I hadn't.
No, I understand if it was an Omaha promotion, you would have been all over it, right?
I would have been all over it. I was actually out of town. Terrence did the show last week with Lee. That was the very first show. MJ and I, neither of us were on it. So I did manage to listen to it.
Best show in the history of the 2+2 poker.
We're both fired. How are we in here this week? But I'll definitely check that out, Steve.
Okay, it's over. I guess it's over now. But I am interested in if any of your viewers have any feedback on that promotion. Something we did that's slightly different, and if they want to come into the show thread, I'd love to hear any thoughts they had about it, whether they participated in it or not.
Fair enough. Thank you so much, sir. Really appreciate it, and we will talk to you next week.
Thank you. I look forward to it.
There he is, Mr. Steve Day. So to continue the story from Terrence's fight night, we get to the championship bout. And Mr. Johnson over here is down 5 units, betting on 7 fights or something.
Oh, man. I was down 4.
No, you're down 5.
I was down 4, and you let me bet 2.
Yeah, that's right. You were down. Yeah. You don't even remember. You were that.
I was down 4, and you let me bet 2.
How much did you pay me at the end of the night?
$300.
So then you were down 5.
No, I lost 6 in the end. I lost 4 plus 2 on the final fight.
Wow, MJ's right. Sorry,
yeah.
I apologize. Yeah. You were down 4 units. So here's what happened. That's not my strong subject. So the championship fight is a great fight, and it's these two guys who apparently are friends or something. There's a big storyline. The one guy is the number 1 contender, and the other guy is the champ. And they come in, and MJ's again gets to pick. It's your turn to pick. You're down, as you said, 4 units, and I'm steadfastly sticking to the fact that you can only bet 1 unit.
I wanted to press.
You wanted to press. You wanted to get even in one fell swoop here, and I'm thinking for sure you're going to take this again. You're not going to take the contender guy. You're going to take the other guy, the champ, who's 1-0 against this guy in his lifetime. And MJ picks the guy that I didn't want. And then, now you can bet as much as you want. So MJ says
he had a man bun, though.
He had a little bit of a hair thing on the top of his head.
I like the man bun.
You wanted the man bun, and I said, okay, fine. You can bet whatever you want. You bet it 2 units. Your guy proceeds to dominate the fight.
Shit-kicked the guy.
Like, this is not even close.
I made a bet on this fight, too. I was like, I'll buy out for $49.
You bet $50. You bet Chris Danek $50.
Yeah.
And like in the third round.
It was so one-sided.
It was just, this guy was just, I felt bad for the guy that I had. He was getting thumped. And it was all stand-up. It was all jab, 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 box. And the guy's left eye was literally closed. Yeah. He couldn't see anything. So the other guy's now throwing right hooks because he can't see him coming. And I turn around, I grab my drink or something, and all of a sudden, and I look, and my guy's got your guy in the ground, and he's got him in the clinch, in the rear clinch. And I'm thinking, because I don't know enough about this to know who's in a good position or who's not. And all of a sudden, he's got him in the chokehold, and the guy taps out like right away. And I'm like, what the hell just happened?
In 5 seconds, it was over. It was like a race, and my guy was 5 seconds from the finish line. He has a 80-yard lead on the other guy. Back. And he proceeds to fall down over his shoelace, and the other guy walks across the finish line and wins the race out of nowhere.
Essentially hitting a one-outer for a straight flush.
It was. I was drawn to a straight flush against an out flush.
It was shocking, and I ended up losing 6 units, and you made me pay all 6.
I did indeed.
Yes, so
that was good fun. All right.
So MMA wagering.
Yeah.
So I understand you're still doing Madness.
So you remember the Madnesses, right?
Bacon Madness. What do you got going on?
We should have bacon versus bacon.
Yeah.
So we think back. Can you name all the Madnesses we've had?
Yeah.
Go.
Well, we had music, but we had band Madness.
We had band Madness.
We had stand-up comedian Madness.
Yeah, that's correct.
We had comedy film Madness.
Correct.
That's correct.
We had comedy TV show Madness.
That's correct.
One more.
And we've had a lot of comedy ones. There's 3 different comedy ones. There was a music one, and there was a food one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pizza.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Pizza one. I think we've had 5. This is our 6th. We went, we're a poker show. Occasionally we talk about poker. So we decided we were going to have Poker Hand Madness. This is the televised poker hands, the best ones of all time. People nominated, spent some time in our forum, and we came up with a list of 32.
It's a great idea.
Off the top of your head, what televised poker hands do you think would
memorable
make this
hands, entertaining hands that I've watched several times and haven't gotten bored from?
Right.
The Gus Hansen versus Daniel Negreanu quads on poker. On high stakes poker.
High stakes poker, correct.
That one for sure would be on there for me.
Yes.
There's got to be a couple of Phil Hellmuth hands in there. The big game had some crazy ones. There was a bunch of those. But I would say the most memorable Phil Hellmuth hand to me would be the Aces versus Kings with Beth Shack. Where she's waving the 2 aces up. I got it. That would be.
That's on the list.
That's one of my more memorable ones.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the other Hellmuth one, the Idiot from Northern Europe one.
Yeah, I don't think that's on the list. Idiot from Northern Europe's not on there.
What was the guy's name?
It was I want to say he was Romanian or something. Yeah,
that was an excellent one.
Idiot from Northern Europe.
That one would be up there for sure. Any hand with the one where Hellmuth ended up in crying in the fetal position at Bay 101.
Yeah.
That one would be on there for me for sure. There's a ton.
Remember the big game, Hellmuth versus Wiggins?
Yeah, that's just the big game one where they ran it 3 times and he won all 3 times and he was a huge favorite every time.
Slumping Hellmuth.
Yeah. The other big game one where the guy didn't the challenger or the I can't remember what they called the big game, the amateur guy. He slow rolled aces. Remember he nearly folded aces? Or he did fold aces.
He did fold aces.
I think he might have mucked aces because he had such a big stack and he wanted to keep the money.
And he would have lost.
And he didn't want to risk losing.
Lack flopped a set.
There's so many.
Well, my favorite of all time didn't make the list, and that was
the Robles had quads in Europe, and that there was one hand where he was in a tournament. It was quads over quad, or it was quads over quads. I'm pretty sure.
I can't remember that one. My favorite hand of all time is the Ted Forrest Chad Brown hand, where it's 7-card stud, and Forrest calls him all the way down with a pair of deuces. And is 100% right. Just read his soul. It was crazy. That's my favorite.
The Jim McManus hand with
Elix Powers.
Elix Powers.
Yeah, called me with Jack High.
That one.
Yeah, that's on the list.
That one for sure.
So we've got 32. We're down to 32 hands.
Tell me there's a Doug Lee hand in there somewhere.
There's no Doug Lee hand.
Oh, there's a classic Doug Lee hand.
There's a bunch, yeah.
Against
Yosh. You know who I am.
Nakano.
Oh, yeah. Yosh is a bunny. He was on.
It's not my day.
It's not.
Yosh versus Doug Lee. Look up that one.
That's a good one.
That's a classic. It's just not my
JRB, too. Yeah. He gets to the final table with JRB and Jen Harmon, I think. Doug Lee, when he wins his ring.
Yeah, there's a lot of JRB classic ones.
Oh, yeah.
The main event, the one deep in the main event where he gets.
He thought he was drunk.
When he gets sucked out on.
Yeah. JRB, ladies and gentlemen. That's the famous line from Adam Levy. Yeah. He says it is at the table.
Yeah. Carter Gill versus David Paredes.
That's on the list. Yeah, for sure. We're gonna have. We're down to 32 hands, so we're gonna start. Please head on over to the Pokercast forum. Cast your votes. Johnny Douglas, our fantastic mod, is going to put up the matchups, and we're going to play down to a winner. Hopefully, we can talk to the winner of the who ends up winning this thing. We can bring him back on the show and talk about the hand in general. So that'll be a lot of fun. Hopefully, you can spend some time with us and vote, so we know what your favorite poker hand of all time was.
So so you're voting on all 16 matchups?
Yeah. So
this is the first round.
Yeah, there'll be 2 a day, I think, and we'll narrow it down that way, and then come to 16. We'll work our way down bracket style.
There's a high stakes poker hand with Barry Greenstein versus Tom Dwan.
Choo.
Yeah.
The million ball.
The million ball, and we spent an entire episode talking about that one hand. I remember. We must have talked about that hand for an hour and a half.
Yeah, it was a great hand, $1 million pot.
Yeah, that was one was very cool. And did the Jen Tilly Patrick Antonius one make it?
Of course,
just for comedy.
Yeah,
just for comedy purposes.
Yeah, Tilly. It did make it. I want to say.
I don't know.
It was in the play-in. I
thought you had Pocket Kings.
I don't know if I made it. Yeah. I thought you just check back the full house.
It depends on whether you're talking about just memorable hands for comedy purposes or memorable hands because it was a crazy hand, a setup hand, a one out. Oh, what about the hand with the redneck with the overalls with
the quads versus Royal Flush?
And Ray Romano was at the table.
That didn't make the play-in.
Come on.
That was played in against Dutch Boyd and Chris Moneymaker when Moneymaker shoved it all in with 2 threes, and Boyd called it the King Queen and bricked.
I always wonder how they managed to get to that table to film that hand before it went down.
Yeah, they pause it. Once it's all in, and they flip it over.
Yeah, it's all rebuilt.
Okay. Or they just lucked out because they used to have handhelds running all over that particular year. They just had handhelds everywhere trying to catch hands. And because Ray Romano was at the table and he was holding court doing the comedy thing, they would have had a camera very close by. Because
I just remember the guy just couldn't get his chips in the pot any faster with the quad aces. Yeah. He just pushes all his chips. They just fly into the middle.
And the guy with the wife beater was the guy.
And speaking of I made fun of it earlier, and if it happened to me, McMado, I would still be
upset,
crying about it. But the McMado hand versus Duhamel, how does that not get on there?
That was a huge hand. Yeah, that was a big one. We talked about that one for a long time too.
Yeah. Excellent stuff.
So check that out. Please give us your votes. We need some.
We've probably sent some people into YouTube. Mania now.
Spending forever.
Speaking of poker on TV, do you get a sense that there's a little bit of a
resurgence?
A little bit of a comeback going on here. Lots of poker on TV news in the past couple of days. Maria Ho, who had been hosting the Heartland Poker Tour, is leaving that program after a year to join Poker Night in America for their new tournament version. They've got a spin-off called Poker Night the Tour. She's going to co-host with Dave Tuckman. The show is going to have an online stream component for the people who want to watch the actual tournament, and then there's going to be a produced version of the show that will focus more on the behind-the-scenes lifestyles of traveling tournament poker players. They're going to be filming the first 2 episodes at Turning Stone and Canterbury in New York and Minnesota, respectively, in August. The other big news in TV poker this week was that the Super High Roller Bowl, which is a $500K buy-in happening in early July, right around the time of the One Drop, the big one for One Drop, which is not $1 million buy-in this year, it's $111K buy-in. This will be a televised event on the NBC Sports Network in conjunction with the new Poker Central 24/7 Poker TV network. When is this thing launching? Have you guys talked much about it?
No, we haven't. We haven't looked into it at all.
It hasn't come out yet, but that's going to be one of the first shows that they produce, and it's going to be a joint broadcast with NBC Sports Network, who really hasn't done much poker since the old NBC Heads Up Championship. It's been a long time since they were involved in it. So
Matt Vaskurjan, is he going to be back? Remember Matt Vaskurjan? He was there. He was the commentator.
Yeah, him and Ali, right?
Yeah, him and Ali. Yeah,
all those old names. We were talking about the big money over in Macau earlier, and Phil Ivey and Tom Dwan over there with Johnny Chan. Macau gaming revenue, however, is down 37% for May versus May of last year. It's the 12th straight month with a drop, the 4th straight month with a drop of 30% or more. And in February, revenue was down 50% for gaming versus the previous year. And apparently there's now a proposal that the Chinese government is going to go ahead with a full-scale ban on smoking in Macau. And I've never been to Macau, but apparently smoking is a huge part of gambling culture over there. Yeah. And the casino officials say if this smoking ban goes through, that things are going to get even worse. And this is all happening at the time where Adelson, Wynn, and MGM are building new resorts in Macau amid these bad numbers. Wynn Palace is going to be the first of them to open in early 2006, but they're down in 2013.
2016, yeah.
Yeah, 2016. In 2013, Macau did $45 billion in handle. Jesus. In 2015, the projections are for $30 to $35 billion. So they're down $10 to $15 billion.
But we're still talking 4 or 5 times Vegas. I mean,
Vegas is just under $10 million.
Yeah. Okay. So we're still talking 3.5 times Vegas.
Yeah. So they're
doing okay.
Yeah. They're doing fine. But it's
you got to remember a lot of the stuff there's off the books too. They have this junket system where they rope off part of the casino. The junket will fly a plane of people in, bring them over to this area of the casino, and the junket operators are booking a lot of that action.
Well, and I think they're cracking down on a lot of the corruption that some of the super high rollers were involved with, and that hurts the handle, but it helps with other areas of tourism for safety and for other things like that. But big numbers, down $10-15 billion in take. That was pretty alarming.
We got one last interview today. We've got a cast of thousands. We have Mr. Andrew Lichtenberger.
Long show, and if you add my stutters into it, it actually brings it on to another 3 hours. With Terrence in the show, what is it? It's not even a podcast. It's just like a sitcom now.
It goes pretty quick.
22 minutes in and out. Episodic.
Little laugh track and you're set.
Yes.
All right, let's bring in Mr. LuckyChewy and talk to him a little bit about the World Series of Poker and his new book. All right, let's bring him in now. This is LuckyChewy, Andrew Lichtenberger. It's been a while since we had him on the show, MJ. Remember?
He's been on several times. I remember the first time he came on.
Yeah.
Remember we used to do Young Gun specials?
We did.
In 2009, 2008, in the earlier days. We did a series of profiles on the Young Guns of the game. Vivek Rajkumar, Andrew Roble, Aaron Jones, Adam Junglin, and a young man by the name of Andrew Lichtenberger back in early 2009. 5.5 years have passed since his first appearance, and back then he was throwing outdoor beer pong parties at the Lego Poker House, and
dressed in suits to the nines. So the guy had it all,
and the man has evolved in the 5.5 years since then, but is still kind enough to spend some time with us. His poker game is as sharp and lethal as ever, but other areas of his life have certainly headed in different directions, and it's a real thrill to have him back on the program for a conversation. Chewy, first of all, congratulations on the high roller win on Saturday. How you been?
Thank you very much, and I've been great. It's kind of funny thinking back to when we first met. We've, I guess, known each other since I really started playing live poker out in Vegas. But life's been great. I just got back from a 2-month trip where I was in India for a month and Iceland for a month. And, what a great return to Vegas.
Before we move on to the poker stuff, India is on the top of my list of places I want to go in the world. My wife has zero desire to go to India, but I would love to go for all the reasons that you would imagine: the people, the food, the culture, everything. Give us a quick take on what it was like to be in India. Was it your first time?
It was my first time, and I was fascinated by all the same things you are, and having gone there, I mean, it's a pretty invaluable experience to firsthand see how the culture is and how everybody lives and just how it's so different. And their way of life. And even though parts of the society are very chaotic, it's got a very unusual harmony to it all. And it probably doesn't really make sense, but like I said, once you go, you'll know what I mean. And I actually, with a friend of mine there, went to Goa, which is, I guess, a more touristy part of India. And they have casinos that are boats floating on the ocean. And we set up a poker tournament for this December to be run alongside their quarterly IPC, the Indian Poker Championships. So our idea is to promote tourism in India as well as poker and see if people can have a generally positive experience.
Have you had any feedback from your from the poker community in North America as to the interest level? Are people up for this adventure? Are they going to go?
It seems like some people will come. India has some tax laws where for anyone, even a resident, taking $10,000 out, they take 30%. So for U.S. citizens, you apply for an exemption, so you don't pay double 30% federal in the U.S. and in India. But for other countries, not really sure. So we'll see what happens. But there are groups similar to PPA in India, and they work to make the laws easier for poker to occur. And their new prime minister really wants to promote tourism in India. So we're going to see if we can't make a small positive change and then maybe have an easier experience in future years.
And Iceland, that was also a poker-related trip as well. I saw a few snapshots with you and Nano Noko and a couple other guys. How did you end up there?
Yeah, it's kind of unusual how I ended up there. I guess a friend of mine and I were just looking online at the crime rates in different places, and apparently Iceland is the most peaceful country in the world. So we're intrigued by that, wanted to go check it out. And, very synchronously ran into, through some friends that I had through poker, Nanoko and some other guys I met that were really great. And, I played SCOOP there, and it was just a really awesome experience, and I'm looking forward to going back.
Did you go hit the hot springs? Every time I see something on Iceland, it's always about the hot springs at these amazing springs they have just outside of Reykjavik there.
Yeah, I didn't make it to the Blue Lagoon because I was playing so much online poker. I went to some of the geothermal spas with the gyms and whatnot, and it's quite incredible. Definitely look forward to experiencing more of the country in my my future visits.
Yeah, it looks beautiful. One of the reasons we wanted to bring you on, Andrew, was your book. It's called The Yoga of Poker, High Stakes Journey to Freedom. First, why don't you give us an idea of what inspired you to write the book?
I guess I've always just enjoyed writing. I've found it sort of cathartic in many ways, and I put up on blogs in the past, and they seem to be well received by at least some of the community. And a friend of mine kind of encouraged me to do it because our friend in India does manufacturing, and he's able to print the book, so figured why not? If it uplifts even one person, it'd be worth it.
What can people who buy the book and read it? What's the goal? Like, what do you want people to take away from it?
I guess just accepting that everything is perfect in every moment if you allow it to be, and that it's not only possible but likely to find peace in your heart and your life just through following a lifestyle where you put that out into the world.
Hey, Chewy, you've definitely headed in a different direction in terms of lifestyle and things that you put priority on and that are important in your life. And a lot of times when you see people head more in that direction, they leave the game of poker behind. It doesn't sort of fit in with a lot of the other things that you're interested in and focused on. Do people and even yourself? It seems to me that you're just as passionate about the game, if not more, than ever before, which sort of opposes, at least from the outside looking in, opposes a lot of the other things that you're prioritizing. Does that question make sense?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I don't know why it is that normally happens, but as you said, I definitely as passionate as ever about the game, and it's kind of what got me to this point in my life, introduced me to the people I know and the just general life experiences that I've had. So I see no reason to not continue playing.
When you come across and meet new people that are completely from outside of the poker world, and you're into nature and climbing rocks and the raw food movement and all of these other things, what do these people that you're meeting along that journey think about you ponying up $100,000 to play a card game? What's their reaction?
Well, it doesn't make sense to a lot of people, as you must know from your own interactions in life. Like, people who don't play poker, it just doesn't really make sense because they don't really understand the rules, let alone kind of the feel that the game has when you're in a tournament or a cash game. So it's kind of like a mystere for them almost. But, over time, people, they kind of get to understand it, I guess, through maybe living vicariously through, like hearing updates about myself playing or replaying themselves in just home games or something. But it's definitely it's just such an unusual thing to the person who poker is foreign to kind of grasp it at first.
Chewy, when somebody like yourself goes on a transformation, and some people aren't going to react to it, friends, whatever, people, acquaintances, colleagues. Some people are going to have sort of a negative reaction. Sometimes they feel threatened, maybe by the peace you seem to have acquired, your self-confidence, that kind of thing. Have you run into that at all, or are people generally pretty welcoming of the change?
I would say people are generally pretty welcoming of the change. I mean, I guess I've been lucky to have friends in my life who are supportive, unconditionally, whether or not what I do is directly in line with what they do or believe in. There's always going to be some naysayers, haters, whatever, on social media and stuff, but I guess I've been, pretty fortunate to not have anyone, actively object to my lifestyle.
Has the spiritual awakening sort of helped your poker game, do you think? Like when you look back on the player that you were before you started this journey, do you think you're better or different, or what's your take on that?
I think as someone evolves their own being, they're going to find more success in every aspect of their life. I guess if I had to say specifically what it is, it's seeing that like having an intellectualized game plan is really helpful and necessary, but also accepting that every situation is unique and trusting myself enough to deviate from that game plan when the time is right is probably the single biggest change I feel I've had.
How do you have the love and patience and peaceful side, and then a killer instinct to take somebody's money at the same time? How do you sort of snap out of it when it comes time to put your foot on an opponent's throat, so to speak?
I guess friends off the felt and on the felt. Anything goes type of thing.
It's working for you. It certainly has not hurt your results. You won the Aria 25K on Saturday with a chop with Eric Seidel, although you ended up with the title, and a huge one back in December with heads up against Tom Marchese for $1.8 million. You're going to regret doing these chops. You always end up on the good side of them.
Yeah, but it's nice to share too. And I've had a few seconds in the past, so it looks good when you win, or I guess when you top, it doesn't look as good when you win, but yeah, it's all good.
What's the schedule like for this year's World Series, Andrew? I mean, are you talking mostly the big buy-ins and some cash games, or what's the plan?
Yeah, not really too sure. Haven't really thought too hard about it, but probably just going to end up playing a lot of no-limit events like I always do. Even the smaller buy-ins I enjoy, just because it's fun in the big fields, and you get to, weirdly enough, meet a lot of interesting people, just because there's so many people coming from all over the world. And yeah, I just, as you guys understand, love the game, so I'm going to be in there grinding it out.
Table draws everything when it comes to heads-up tournaments, and you had the not-so-lovely task of taking on Doug Polk. Tell us a little bit about the match today. I know it didn't end up going your way, but he's tough. Yeah,
he's really tough. I was down slightly in the beginning, then took a slight lead, and then had a failed bluff, and from there pretty much was just downhill. And yeah, type of opponent who's really hard to recover if you make one substantial error. Yeah, so good.
Yeah, he's a tough one. I noticed you're involved with the PPA, Andrew, and I think, was it California that you were recently in to talk to some of the people making the legislation?
I was in California, but I was also in D.C. earlier this year.
Okay, right. So give us an idea of what makes it passion for you to get involved with it, and how frustrating is it to look at some of these people and try and be nice to them, I guess.
Sorry, to look at who? I try to be nice to them?
Well, some of the politicians have clearly have their hands out and are looking for their best possible deal for themselves, and you've got to go in and represent the game of poker and with a smile on your face. And sometimes some of these politicians aren't exactly the nicest people in the world.
Yeah, I think a lot of them maybe haven't played that much poker, so they don't know kind of why it's such an enjoyable game for so many people. But in regards to working with the PPA and kind of promoting the game, I don't know, I guess I was in D.C. for some other reasons and figured I'd reach out to them, and meetings went really well. They were very happy to have me help them out a little bit, and it seems like being at their booth at the CPAC, they were able to get a lot of people to sign up and sign their petition. And yeah, I mean, I just hope that I can continue to offer anything positive to make poker more acceptable in the mainstream.
I noticed go ahead.
While we were down there at the CPAC, I actually ran into Rick Perry at the convention, and weirdly enough was speaking to him briefly. And yeah, that was cool. He was supportive, and that night at the CPAC, at the PPA's after party, we hosted just a fun poker game, just for play money, and everyone seemed to really enjoy it, even people who had never played before. And yeah, it was just a great experience.
I noticed you had some nice things to say online about your opponent on Saturday, Eric Seidel. We, you don't get a lot of in-depth interviews and conversations. He's a man of few words from a media standpoint, but when you're actually sitting down with it at the table, I really get the sense that there's, that there is a lot to Eric Seidel, and he really is one of the underrated superstars of the poker world. And it seemed that that you've had a chance to get a little bit more from Eric Seidel than the media gets from him. He's a pretty interesting guy, isn't he?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, he's been successful for so many years with the new generation of players coming in, especially one of the few guys that's been able to continue to place very high, still win big events. And yeah, I mean, he's a very fascinating person. You can tell it's someone who's thought deeply about life in general, his own life, and done a lot of philosophizing, and just generally seems to be someone who hasn't taken life for granted.
We've got the big Super Bowl buy-in, or whatever it's called, the $500K at the Aria buy-in,
and the one drop too.
And the one drop, big one for one drop. Are these huge buy-in? Are they on your schedule?
Yeah, definitely look forward to playing some of the bigger buy-ins later this summer. Haven't bought in or anything yet, but yeah, I think it's going to be exciting.
Are you going to wait and see the lineup before you buy in, or you're definitely going to play?
Pretty sure I'm going to play. Yeah, it's definitely my intention to play.
Does the lineup enter into it at all, do you think, or it's just a matter of if you're you're ready to go for that?
I mean, if it's like 8 Eric Seidel's registered, maybe I'll pass.
Cyborg.
For the most part, I think I'm going to turn up and play.
Chewy, before you let me go, just off the top, we were reminiscing about the first time we had you on the program back in 2009, and we see where you are today. There's not just a change in appearance, but just a whole different aura and energy around you. What do you think when you look back at the LuckyChewy of the early days in the poker world? What's your take on where you are now versus where you were 5 years ago?
Kind of just like laugh at who I used to be and shake my head a little. But, life moves at its own speed. You can't really see what you don't know, because then you would know what it is. And, looking back, I mean, I was definitely naive in many ways. But I think I always was pretty good-hearted and never really meant any harm. But yeah, life's a journey, man. Pretty exciting.
We have our producer wants to ask you a quick question.
Oh yeah, please.
Okay. In the Scoop High Roller, two things. I noticed that you got disconnected for a while. What was that like? And Doug was nice enough not to steal your big blinds.
Yeah. It was pretty wild. I had to leave my apartment where I was staying and find a alternative internet connection because my Wi-Fi card had ran out of data.
Oh,
it was actually blocking my connection, which I didn't at the time know, to other Wi-Fi signals. And yeah, I was extremely appreciative and had spoke to Doug even before today when we played and thanked him for waiting. And his general sentiment was it would have been scummy to blind me out. And yeah, I'm just appreciative that he agrees and feels that way. And of course, I would do the same for him.
Yeah, and you didn't end up making a chop in that one, and there was a big jump from second to first when you played Don Kim. What was the reason for not chopping the high roller?
I don't know. Honestly, I didn't think to ask him when it first started. I'm not sure he even would have wanted to chop. Kind of was just focusing on the game. Didn't think about that as much, as crazy as that may sound.
Yeah.
But, yeah, in retrospect, that would have been cool.
Nice. Andrew, thanks so much. Really appreciate your time, and look forward to you final tabling, taking deep runs in some of these big buy-in events this summer. Good luck, sir. Thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks, guys. Always appreciate being on the show.
That is Mr. LuckyChewy. Thanks so much. Really appreciate. He thought we were recording at the Rio.
He pulled up. We called him, and he's like, "Give me a second. I'm just in the driveway. I'm parking the car. I will be inside shortly." I think he thought he was going to the David Tuckman live stream booth or something like that.
That's funny.
So he's like, And then I said, "Oh, well, you can late reg the 1,500 limit since you drove all the way over to the Rio. You can still get in. It's I think it's like almost 11:30 here." And he's like, "Yeah, no thanks.
No, I'm good."
So I feel bad. What's he gonna do?
I guess probably just go.
They don't
home
have a lot. They don't have a lot of raw vegan food at the Poker Kitchen. I think at the Rio. So he's going to be out of luck as far as that goes. So it was hard to phrase the questions to Chewy, because he's really on this path of Zen and chill out, and you use the term spirituality, and I don't know if that's the right word or not the right word. I think religion and spirituality is not just that, but it's he's got all of these other things on the go, and I just don't understand how you can just completely go down that path and then still show up at a casino every day and take $10,000 out of somebody's wallet.
Send them home.
I have a hard time calculating that.
Yeah, I guess when you get to that level of acceptance of what you do, I guess that's where what he's achieved.
And I think for him, I think the word that really is the most appropriate is freedom. And a lot of poker players use that and say, why do I play poker? I have freedom for my own schedule. I have freedom for my own time. And I think he thinks the same way on the financial side of things. It's not about having money in the bank and being wealthy and being able to buy a Maserati and all of those things. It's to give him the freedom to do, and I shouldn't be speaking on his behalf, but it gives him the freedom to enlighten himself in all of those other ways that he wants to, without having to, because if he had to grind out a 9 to 5, obviously he wouldn't be able to do all of this other learning and enlightenment that he seems to be doing very well at.
Be a little more difficult if you're digging ditches, wouldn't it?
So for sure, but that whole love everybody attitude has got it. He probably hasn't been to the Commerce for a while.
That one,
I was like, what was the quote from his book? We read a couple of the quotes from the book. I was going to. It was, in living and playing poker with an unconditionally loving attitude and outlook is a life-changing experience to uplift and expand consciousness of yourself and those around you.
Those around you at the Commerce aren't going to be uplifted.
That statement and trying to live by that mantra,
tough
when you're in a room full of miserable SOBs. That's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that he can it's one thing to say this stuff, but to actually go in there and pull it off and be nice to everybody and loving.
It's impressive.
And that while you're around all those miserable guys.
Very impressive.
Man, oh man.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
It is.
Yeah.
Speaking of pretty good, another championship segue right there. We have to get the invitational password out.
Excellent.
Why don't we do that? You think up a format.
It ain't 5-card draw. Do you still push for 5-card draw?
No, we haven't done 5-card draw.
that in a long time.
This is the Pokerstars Invitational for Pokercast listeners.
Can we pick any game?
You can pick any game.
Okay, so the
Wait,
deuce to 7 triple draw.
Would you just let me do the intro first?
Oh, okay, sorry.
Pokerstars.
You used to interrupt me.
I did. Yeah, I did. Now I know how it feels.
Yeah.
For Pokercast listeners, this is in the private tab of the tournament lobby. This is 10 Pacific.
Ooh,
Michael Johnson.
New time.
10 Pacific for the people in the UK. This is the heart of our listenership now is in the UK.
Excellent.
Plus the people who can actually spend real money on PokerStars are across the pond. 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Sorry, 10 a.m. Eastern. 10 p.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. I'll get this right. 6 p.m. GMT. This is a $1.10 buy-in. PokerStars is nice enough to add $500 every week. Mm-hmm. We are also running play money invitationals, right? These are still going off. No problems. I saw a little bit in the thread there. Something was happening.
I tried to see
it was in the
whether
wrong
it ran
tab
or
or something. I think.
Yeah, but they are running.
They are running. You'll find it. Keep looking. It is and we should change that to a 1K buy-in, by the way.
Yeah,
I know Stars wanted a 4K.
It took me like 3 minutes to run up 5K. It's
not hard.
It's not hard.
Okay, we'll leave it at where
people literally just shove all in every hand when you join the Zoom table. So you just wait till you have like Ace Jack and call them. They'll have Ace Deuce.
Spend a few minutes running it up. Okay, so this week we are going to have a password of I'm sure you can guess
Ronaldo.
No capitals.
Just Ronaldo.
Just Ronaldo is the one-word password. The format for the PokerStars Invitational for PokerCast listeners is...
Tuan Lee just became the first player in 6 years to defend a bracelet at the World Series of Poker in the Deuce to 7 triple draw event, which will be the format used for this Sunday's
fantastic
Invitational.
format.
I like it.
The Tuan Lee
PokerCast.
The Tuan Lee
Invitational. You want to know something weird is, and if anybody wants to get a leg up on the field, you can go back and listen to and watch the cast from today. They did a live stream of the Deuce to 7 final table. They'll have a replay. It'll be up. I'm sure it's up now.
Yeah.
And I was listening to it, and David Gray was on there telling some great stories
Gray's a great storyteller.
about Chip Reese and stuff.
Yeah.
And I had to have a shower before I came here, so I took my speakers and I put them in my washer so I could listen to the Deuce to 7. So I'm listening I'm listening to Deuce to 7 happen while I'm having a shower, and I was like, this is probably a pretty unique thing. I bet nobody's ever listened to someone call a Deuce to 7 game while they're in the shower.
You are so the perfect dude for this job, man. Wow.
He is absolutely the perfect job. Lots of things we didn't get to this week. Roscoe reports.
But Bunner was fun, but in no way in hell was he ever going to be listening to Deuce to 7 while in the shower.
We didn't get to 140 or less. We didn't get to the Roscoe report. We didn't get to some things because there's so much World Series of Poker stuff. We packed this show with all the stuff.
Yeah, I've got it. Where in the world are you listening from? What's this all about?
That's a whole.
It's on my notes.
Yeah, you haven't seen that.
I don't know where in the world are you listening from.
Here's what's weird.
I don't know that.
There are people that listen to this show that have never heard MJ as a host.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I think that's...
they'll never listen again.
It's been great. I appreciate you having you back and spending some time with us, buddy. It's been great.
Next time, don't lie about who's going to be on the show.
I won't. I'll try and keep the truth. But that's it. I think that's going to wrap it up.
I will, for anybody who is going to be at the World Series of Poker next week and would like to hook up for a beer or a meal, I'm at M. Johnson Poker. I'm at Kathy Liebert. No, I'm at M. Johnson Poker. And, check in. And if you're going to be in town, I'm there for a week. And, I'd love to connect up with some of the old school listeners who are in town. I'm going to play the Monster Stack. I'm going to play the Monster Stack.
Tweet out your live stream.
Tweet
final table.
Well, tweet out your seat and table number, and people can come by and say hi. Next week, we are going to have Robbie Davies and myself are going to do the show. This is used to run Poker News, Robbie Davies.
Of course.
And we are going to have the return to the show of Mr. Tony G.
Love it.
Next week. He's going to come by. This man is now in politics, but he's got a lot of stories to share, and I'm sure it'll be a lot of
Lithuania talk.
A lot of Lithuania talk.
A lot of Lithuania.
Yeah, it'll be good. Looking forward to that. Thanks so much to everybody who came out. We had Matt Savage.
It'd be so interesting to hear Tony G with with Poker News not getting the chip counts and all that. You got to dig deep with this.
Robbie too. Robbie's got all the stories on how that whole thing goes down every year. So we'll get into that and see what Tony thinks. Thanks so much to Steve Day for joining us, to Matt Savage,
Terrence Chan,
to LuckyChewy, Andrew Lichtenberger, to Michael Johnson for stepping into the host chair, to our intrepid producer Roscoe P. Coltrane on the ones and twos, and to you for listening to the show every week. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. Please head on over to the Pokercast forum if you haven't posted in the Where Are You Listening To From thread. That kind of information is really important to us when we go to get renewed for sponsorship, and we can point to a thread where all these people are posting from. We do this show for you guys. Please just come on over and tell us where you are listening from and what you do enjoy about the show. Would love to see your posts. Also, to post in the show thread this week and tell us.
Tune into the stream on Sunday.
Tune into the stream on Sunday with Roscoe P. Coltrane. Thanks so much, people. We will see you next week.
That was fun. People in the world who didn't play the Colossus?
That's not bad, too. Three.
Yeah, three of them. But he's the way announcing it.
He's saying, All right.
Two of the nine people on the planet who did not play the Colossus.
Yeah, I like it. Good.
Thanks for joining us. The 2+2 Pokercast has been presented to you by the PokerStars VIP Club.